Hello.
Hello.
Oh, go ahead.
Welcome back, everyone, to another evening of action here in the Team Gab League. We are bringing you a best of three tonight in the Gold League between Team Exiles, also known as Team Blue, and Team Sitting on Wards, also known as Team Yellow. I am Chris, the one Newman, joined, of course, by Mr. Wookie Monster, the legend himself.
Hey.
Wookie Monster, let's jump right in there, and let's talk a little bit about these two teams. They're going to be taking the Rift tonight.
All right. So we
Uh,
have Team Blue, which is Team Exiles. It's gonna have Young Shax in the top lane, Nighthawk in the jungle, Iroh in the mid lane, Mercurial in ADC, and then JR Boys as support. So looking fresh, just like always on the blue side. And then we have on a new contester. I guess we haven't really streamed them before, but this is Yellow sitting on wards. We have Fridge in the top lane. Javi or Javi, I don't know which one. I guess it's Javi.
I'd go with Happy.
I go with Javi. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but that's okay. In the jungle, and then we have Decomposition, nice name, in the mid lane. And then Dank Cheddar as ADC, and I believe it's Agassi, I guess.
Seems right to me.
Seems right. That is going to be our support for sitting on wards. So, spicy matchups here. We haven't, like I said, we haven't really streamed. I don't think we've streamed sitting on wards yet in this league, but looking at their OPGGs, it's kind of giving us a little bit of an insight on what they want to play, how they want to do their compositions, and things like that. So, yeah, I always love streaming for Blue. We like to see our natural predators in the wild rift, if you will. JR Boys tears up on the supports. It's too good. Yeah, but the opposition actually has some pretty interesting picks. I noticed that Agassi has a lot of Zillion games. How do you feel about Zillion?
Yeah, I mean, he's made some appearances here in the Team Gap League already, I do believe. Can be a strong champion, somewhat compositionally dependent, I feel. But, a strong Zillion player is always something to be feared, I think. So, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I expect it to probably be hitting the bench, just taking this player's number of games on the champion and his win rate into account there.
That's true. It looks like they did start the draft, so I'll get that up, hopefully. If it'll
Yeah.
load.
Still waiting on that first ban to come through. Don't worry, everybody. Haven't missed too much yet. Looks like it will be Nocturne hitting the bench for ban number 1. He is synergizing, of course, extremely well with that reworked Stride Breaker that is now in the game. So I'm not surprised to see him being banned out. Maybe a little bit surprising to see that ban on blue side, but perhaps the jungle and top lane of Team Exiles here just aren't extraordinarily comfortable on the champion.
Yeah, that is fair. That is very fair. And they are going to respond with maybe Poppy here. Last seconds of the bans. Yep, it will be Poppy. Gotta respect the Young Shax's Poppy on blue. It's so good in with all these dashes that are more prevalent now. Now that Stride Breaker is no longer a dash, you kind of have to go with somebody who at least has some sort of mobility move that will devastate them. And we know that Young Shax is very, very proficient on Poppy.
Yeah, definitely a lot of meta champions with dashes right now. Poppy has been a pretty, decently strong pick for actually a while now. So I definitely think that's a worthwhile ban coming out over there.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a very specialized pick, and it's very good into a lot of these brutal top lane matchups. They respect the Poppy, you got it right. And then we have Mordekaiser coming out as a ban. That's an interesting one. I don't really see a lot of Mordekaisers banned out from players. But
I'm not seeing a whole lot of Mordekaiser mastery over there either for Fridge. He has a few games on it, but certainly not his most played top laner, which actually does appear to be Nocturne. So maybe a little bit of a top lane focus here from the bans coming through from Team Exiles. The Zillion notably has not been banned away, but Team Exiles going for that first pick Morgana instead. What do you think about that first pick Morgana?
That is a good blind pick. We still see her in the jungle from time to time. It can be a flex for support as well, and even in mid lane. So it's up to them on where they want to put that. Good blind pick. So we'll see what Sitting on Wards does respond with.
Yeah, it's like you said, and flexible to boot. So definitely worthy of first picking. Can easily build a composition around that one. Looks like it's going to be the Nautilus locked in here for Team Sitting on Wards, going with their support pick nice and early. Potentially an AD carry to follow suit here. Just go ahead and get that bot lane locked away. I wouldn't mind that terribly much.
Yeah, for sure. And Nautilus is actually one of JR's picks, heavily favored for him. So picking that away was probably a good thing. Can't put Morgana against. Well, you can put Morgana against that, but JR can no longer have Nautilus as another pick, and they will lock in Sivir.
Yeah, so it's going to be Sivir Nautilus for Sitting on Wards. Dankchet and Agassi down there in the bot lane. The Leona response.
Ooh.
Leona is a favorable support matchup into the Nautilus. She's tankier than Nautilus is, and her moves generally have priority over the Nautilus. If the Nautilus ever goes in, then he is going to be extremely vulnerable at that point to the Leona counter engage.
Yeah.
Can look a little bit less good against the Sivir, of course, with the spell shield there, but I believe in Junior Boys to make the Leona work here. I see what the marksman is going to be. It's going to be the Jinx. Jinx Leona. What do you think about that lane?
That is a powerful lane. Does scale very well into late game, and we'll see if Leona can put up the pressure on the Sivir, or if it's the other way around. I feel like Sivir will have the early game intact, but Jinx can always get a gank from the jungler, which I would assume is going to be Morgana at this point. I don't really see a lot of Morgana mids in this league, so it's definitely looking like a Morgana jungle, and they are going to respond with a jungler of their own on Sitting on Wards, Trundle. Becoming a very prevalent pick, I feel. I've seen it, like, we saw him earlier this week in the top lane, like twice, I think, picked right after the other, so yeah, I like seeing the Trundle into these tankier Leona picks, and if they want to round out their comp with more tank picks on the Team Exiles side, Trundle becomes very more valuable than before.
That's very true. It does seem to me, it is my impression, that the tanky boys are generally very meta junglers here in the Team Gap League.
Yeah.
So not too surprised to see that coming through for Javi here in this one, as we are now into the second phase of bans. Everybody, Echo and Orianna, going to be hitting the bench here, waiting on that last ban to come through from Sitting on Wards. Potentially a little bit more mid lane focus, as they, like you, I suspect Morgana to be going into the jungle position. Looks like it might be a top lane ban instead.
Yeah, they're banning out a tanky boy of themselves, so maybe Sion is a difficult matchup. I wonder, was that actually that was a Wukong ban, correct? That ban with Wukong, that was not a Sion ban, so Wukong, not a tanky boy. Good thing they left Sion open in case they want to send Trundle top lane. That is also a viable thing.
True, have seen a few Trundle tops recently.
Yeah.
Yone is going to be the last ban here for Team Exiles.
Yeah, Arrow does play a lot of Yone Orianna, so trying to get him off champions comfort picks. We did see him on Kiana a couple of times now in the past league and this league. Sejuani for Nighthawk. That is definitely a comfort pick for Nighthawk. Oh, wait, no, that's Sitting on Wards, sorry. That is Sitting on Wards.
Yeah.
So
it looks like
yeah, it could be picked away from Nighthawk too, as Morgana could still be picked mid here.
She could be. Really, I think the main thing here to note, though, is that means that Trundle is definitely going top in the hands of Fridge this game.
That's true.
Team Exiles should be able to pick a top laner that is going to be decently good against Trundle. Kale.
Ooh. Yes.
Interesting. Could go mid still. Let's not make any assumptions just yet. You gotta wait for this last pick to come through there.
Yep.
Kale could go into either solo lane.
Yeah, it's really a blind pick at this point, unless they send Morgana mid. So they're gonna have to see what options are available. They have a lot of AP and then Jinx. So I assume they would go for like maybe an AD assassin or an AD bruiser here, some front line, or no. Wow.
double down on the AP. It could also still be AD Kale.
That's
She does
that's
still
true.
have those AD build options. I guess AP is a little bit more common these days, but she still could go for something like a Kraken Slayer potentially.
Yeah, that is true. She does spike really insanely well with the AP build. I do feel like the AD build is a little bit more for the early game aggression, but we will see what happens in game, as it is going to be probably Kennen top, I would assume. I don't really see a use for
Yeah.
Kennen mid at all these days, but I could be definitely wrong. We'll see in champs like who picks
Hey.
what. And Nico. We have seen a lot of Nico, I feel, recently over the past couple of days and weeks, as now we have the draft for game 1, sitting on Wards versus Team Exile.
Yeah, some very interesting compositions here, Wookie Monster. So lots of tanks for teams sitting on wards. They have a Sivir to boost everybody forward or backward, depending on what the situation calls for. They have some strong team fight ultimates on both sides. I mean, if you look over at Team Exiles, the Morgana, the Leona, the Kennen, there's so much crowd control, so much lockdown. And once the Jinx scales up to 2-3 items, that's gonna be looking really good for her. It's probably going to come down, I think, Wookie Monster, to a battle between these AD carries. Whose positioning is better, who gets ahead early, and who's going to be able to provide more consistent DPS in these mid-game team fights.
That's true. I feel like the earlier Sivir gets ahead, the more, kind of stomping the lane she will become. And Jinx is a very, very super late game champion. So the more Sivir gets ahead early, the more towers cracked, the better for their side. They do have proper scaling on their team with the Nico and the Sejuani and the Trundle, but I do think early game impact really comes down to Sivir in that bot lane matchup. Predictions are up for the Team Exiles versus Sitting on Wards. Team Exiles is, of course, blue side, and Sitting on Wards is on red side. So cast your votes now. Who is going to win game 1? Who do you think you're favoring towards in this match?
It's a tough call. I'm gonna give it actually over to Team Exiles.
Okay.
I feel like both teams have had the capability of playing pretty safe. So I feel like even if Team Exiles falls behind early, then they're gonna be able to turtle underneath their towers, and they're gonna have time for Jinx and Kale to scale up and take over towards the later stages.
Okay, that is a fair assumption. I do kind of agree with it being a difficult decision here, because it's really dependent on if Kale can... I feel like it depends on if Kale can get to super late game with the Jinx, and then they just run Rampage. We know that Kale is a very level 16 eccentric champion, so as soon as possible, if she gets there, it's going to be like, oh, you have to deal with that. You cannot leave Kale alone during the early game. You have to punish her early game as much as possible, which I feel like we see that Sejuani pick. Sejuani, it tends to be kind of that champion that likes to dive, likes to tank, and maybe we'll see some early dives from Trundle and Sejuani. The pillar being very strong, lock her down with the Sejuani rush, and that should do it. Pre-level 6, maybe.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got CC to spare, right?
Yeah.
I am looking at some stats right now here, Wookie Monster. So Mercurial Mars on the Jinx. 18 games played, and KDA, pretty good. 3.75, according to op.gg.
Oh, okay.
But if we look over here at Dank Chedda's, Sivir, then only 8 games played. Take a guess at what that KDA is. Higher or lower?
Higher?
You're right.
Yeah.
5.3.
Oh,
for
okay.
Sivir.
Wow.
So, pretty good stats on both of these marksman players on these picks. So I think, I'm going to stand by my earlier analysis of the compositions. I think it's going to come down a lot to what happens down here in the bot lane. If some early tower dives do end up coming through with, the power of the lockdown from the Sejuani and the Trundle, or maybe even the Nico, if decomposition can make their way down there, could be looking really good for them. But, Jinx is going to have the Leona there, is going to be able to offer some peel. we'll see. It's gonna be a spicy one, Wookie Monster.
Yeah, and one thing to note, Arrow is pretty good on Kale. As far as I remember, we did see him play it a few times earlier in the previous season, actually. So I wonder if he's still proficient on the champion. It's kind of been a prio pick, I feel, in this current meta, because all the mobility champs were kind of nerfed out into the ground with that Stride Breaker nerf, which means that champions, I mean, at least in the top lane, champions like Set can't really get to her as well, and just lets her farm for free pretty much. But I do think what's interesting is Young Shax on Kennen. What do you think about that, a pick in the current meta right now?
You know, personally, I feel like Kennen is really hard to execute. I mean, the strengths of the champion are very obvious, right? You have a very large AoE stun. Can massively swing team fights his team's favor if he gets a good angle on that. But that's the primary tool that Kennen has to impact the game. So if Young Shax for any reason has trouble finding that big team fight ultimate, if he has trouble, getting that lightning maelstrom onto multiple members of teams sitting on wards, then I don't think it's going to look too good for him.
Yeah, that is fair. That is very fair. And Destroya says, Wookie, would you do a Victor quote for gap points? You know I would. You already know I would. Just do, type whatever quote, and I'll try my best Victor impression that I can. Yeah, but...
While we're shouting out Twitch chat, let me shout out Rylion here.
Yeah.
Nobody could ever replace you, man. Get out of here.
Yeah, don't
Nobody
say
gets
that.
subs like you do.
Yeah, you are the hype master, man. You can't downplay yourself like that. You're not replaceable, man. Don't think about that.
Exactly.
And he did redeem the drink water. I do have Coke with me actually, so I'm gonna drink
a little bit of water.
Drink a little bit of that. I need
action here.
a little bit of energy. I feel like this game is gonna be a lot of energy expended. Hey, I do have water, but Coke just tastes good. Okay, like I have. Wait, hold on. I don't have cold water. That's the thing. And I know Ryleon and I were talking about cold water versus room temperature water. Do you prefer one over the other? Because I would rather drink cold water than room temperature water any day of the week.
Well, speaking of water, Sejuani has some frozen water, but unfortunately for Sejuani, she's going up against a Morgana on the opposing team here, and Morgana is very good at not getting frozen by that frozen water because she has a black shield. So, that could make Javi's life a little bit difficult there on the Sejuani. The Morgana pick in general, for being the first pick in the draft, I think is extremely effective against teams sitting on Ward's composition, given the fact that it's so heavily focused around CC and lockdown. If Nighthawk can be on top of those black shields, if he's got the quick reaction speeds this game, then I think that is another thing that is going to be working in Team Exiles' favor here.
Okay, that is fair analysis here. We are 20 seconds away from Game 1 of this best-of-3 series. I'm excited. I really think we're going to get a good showing of what sitting on wards can do, since we have not seen them previously in this streaming league. So I really want to see how the Nico and Kayle interact with each other. I'm not very familiar with that matchup myself. I don't play either of those champions, but it seems like Nico wants to be the aggressor there, and we'll see if that comes to fruition as we get into Game 1. All right, let's take a look at the summoner spells. I feel like, there's going to be quite a few number of teleports coming in.
I'm guessing Electrocute for the Nico, just to try and maximize that lane pressure. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
It is like Electrocute for the Nico. And it looks like PTA for the Kayle. So I'm expecting the AD build here for Arrow.
Okay, the AD build. Yeah, that is fair, because press the attack, as we know, is really, kind of an early game rune. And in order to get those 3 procs off, you just have to have a little bit of range on your attack speed and range, and that should do the trick. I mean, it is also very possible that Arrow can still be going AP for the late game. I mean, if I was a Kale and I was behind, I would still want to scale well. So I would probably go AP, but we'll see if Arrow can actually get ahead or even get a couple of ganks from Nighthawk in to help him, stay ahead of the Nico here.
I mean, if Team Exiles gets ahead early, that's pretty much game over, don't you think? They have Kale Jinx. Like,
oh, yeah.
They get an early lead. That's, I mean, they
yeah.
have to throw to give it back away at that point.
Right, exactly. And it's like, well, I mean, I've seen it happen before, too, where the scaling team gets, ahead very, very early on, and it's like, well, you're just ticking a time clock. But that is where mistakes come in. And like you were saying, mistakes can always be made. By either team, and there's creative ways to get around these scaling comps early on.
30 seconds until minions
Looks like a bit of a 5-point from both teams.
Yeah, very spread. We got no level 1s happening. We got 2 Nautiluses, but neither one making any kind of aggressive moves just yet. What's the plural of Nautilus? Nautili?
Nautili, I guess. Yeah, I guess it would be Nautili.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit better than Nautilus's. But anyways, 2 Trundles now. We'll stop commenting on Nico's transformation. That's not the content everybody's looking for here, as it will indeed be Kale in the mid lane. Looks like a blue buff start for Morgana. That's a little bit interesting. Usually, I've seen Morgana more often than not start on one of those little AoE camps, like the Raptors, most commonly. But going for the blue start this game. Blue buff, of course, is very important for Morgana jungle. Be able to continually spam those spells out to get those camps cleared. It turns out it's actually going to be a topside start for both junglers here this game. Going to be pathing towards that bottom lane, Wookie.
Yeah, that's very true. I think Morgana and Sejuani are in favor of full clears, but oh my gosh.
Went for a cheeky level 1 there. Did Junior Boys. Couldn't quite find the Zenith Blade, and his ADC is now down to... They're both of the Team Exiles bot laners down to about half HP already, forced to pop some potions here. Not the start that they were looking for. Ooh, Dredgeline barely hitting the minion there. That was a close one.
That is very, very crucial for Mercurial's safety here. He's already half health. Agassi is going to continue to look...
Ooh, level 2. Dredgeline flash from the Jinx.
Wow, blowing that flash that early is very critical for Dank Cheddar to get ahead in this lane, and that means that another hook from Agassi could make its mark, and she's already at half health, has to pop potion. Did start with the Cole this time around, looking to just farm.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense when you're on the scaling team, right? You don't really want to fight early if you can avoid it. Just because you know that you'll have the advantage later on. But one other sort of interesting thing to note here, Sejuani skipped her Krugs on the top side, so she will not be level 4 after clearing her bottom side camp. So she's going for a level 3 move here, maybe towards the bottom lane.
It might be towards the mid lane too. Scuttle is not up yet. Maybe she's just waiting, or maybe even invading. It's very, very opportune to pop that search plant. What do you call it? Scryer's Bloom. There we go. That will... I don't even think that hit Morgana. I could be wrong, but she might know that Morgana's on this side of the map.
Javi really only succeeding in revealing his own position, unfortunately, with that one. But should still be able to pick up that bot side Scuttle Crab, no problem. And will likely go for a double Scuttle move here. So should end up being pretty much even with Nighthawk and Farm at the end of this one. Always feels good to get double Scuttle there when you're the jungler.
Yeah, that is true, and it will be a double Scuttle. So that means that Morgana's going to be a little bit behind. Agassi almost hitting it.
That was a close one. Now Junior Boy's going in with the Zenith Blade, a lockdown onto Mercurial Mars, preventing the follow-up.
Yeah, if that would have hit, that was probably death for Mercurial there. But JR Boys actually did land a nice re-engage. Oh, we do have...
Okay, Arctic Assault forward, knock up onto Young Shax. Kennen in some trouble here, flashing away just in time to avoid the E coming through from the Sejuani there. If he didn't flash that crowd control, I think he probably would have died.
Yeah, look at where Nighthawk is right now, though. This is This is spending a lot of time in the bot lane as the opposite jungle is in the top lane, and Nighthawk will get spotted over a ward.
Yeah, the Morgana still not gone for a reset here. Oh, flash in. No flash on the Kennen. Young Shax. I don't think he has a way out of this one. A nice pillar coming down here for the slow. The chomp comes down as well. Press the attack has been procced. Kennen, who's getting the first blood? Nice. It's Fridge on the Trundle. Picking up that first blood for himself. Ooh, hook landing. Dredge line onto Junior, boys. But the Leona is pretty tanky. There's that re-engage onto Agassi. Ignite going down. Heal from Dang. Try to just barely keep his support alive. And it looks like Nautilus will be able to walk away with that one. That looked like single-digit HP for Agassi.
Yeah, that was crucially, very slim chance there for him to die. And yeah, it's unfortunate that JR was the one that was hit with that dredge line, because that is not the target you want to hit. You do always want to hit Mercurial in these situations. So the out trade happened, and just like we were stating earlier, mistakes like that are bound to happen, but now hopefully they learn from that and will try to get a nice dredge line onto Mercurial as they were doing earlier in the game.
I mean, that's pretty much how the support matchup is supposed to go, right? Like, if Nautilus ever goes in, he doesn't have a good way out, and Leona is tankier than him, and the re-engage can be so deadly. They were almost able to pick up that kill on Agassi, despite the fact that he was so close to his own tower. But he was able to get away there. Fridge with the level 6 is going to be able to comfortably shove that wave in, pressure Young Shax off of that one, until, of course, it does crash into the tower. Level 6 for Kale as well. Arrow able to hit that first power spike over there in the mid lane.
Yeah, they're like all of the CS numbers are pretty even or right about now, so except for that first blood onto Young Shax, that is going to get Fridge a little bit more ahead. He does have a Sheen picked up. He's going to do a lot of damage with that Sheen, actually. That Chomp is just so devastating, and Young Shax needs to be really careful, not having Flash. Doesn't have a good way to get out except for his Lightning Storm E ability. It looks like he's trying to set up a freeze here, which is really good for him.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to deny some CS there from Fridge's Trundle. The jungler is on the top side here. If Javi wants to try and put some pressure towards the top lane, should be able to break that freeze. Going for an invade on the enemy blue buff for now instead. And Morgana not in the area, so should be a clean takeaway there from Javi.
For sure, and note that Decomposition actually picked up that blue buff, I believe, right there. Really good awareness of mid laner, needing a blue buff for Nico is pretty good, considering she can utilize that really well against Arrow. But Nighthawk looking for something here.
Morgana has indeed returned to the bot lane, but she's not going to be able to find anything just yet, as no neutral objectives have been claimed. Dragon has been alive for 3 minutes. Rift Herald has just spawned. We have an engage here. Zenith played onto the Nautilus. Agassi trying to zone away these Team Exiles members. Dank Cheddar in a whole lot of trouble, down to about 50 HP. Ignite already been used. Zenith Blade connects, but start binding. Soaked up by the Sejuani. Flash over the wall from Arrow. Able to pick up the first kill on the Kale. Now Sejuani in a whole lot of trouble. Nico flashing in for the counter engage with the Kale ultimate. Keeps Mercurial Mars safe. Sejuani is the next to fall. Zenith Blade forward once again. Shield of Daybreak should be able to get the stun here onto Decomposition. Junior boys will end up claiming that last kill there. 3 kills picked up for Team Exiles, and a huge fight for them in the bottom side river.
Yeah, that's going to make them get a Dragon for pretty much free here. No members lost, so that is very, very fortunate. JR Boy's getting extremely low from that Dragon, but he's able to just walk it out. No big deal. Not even close.
They paid for that Ocean Dragon with the blood of their enemies.
Exactly, and that is really good for Arrow and Jinx. Mercurial, they both have kills. Now this is really good, and just as we were talking about earlier, if they can get ahead early, this is going to put them on a time clock for the enemy team.
Exactly right there, Wookie Monster. As, like you said a little while ago, we are still holding pretty even in CS. We are seeing some turret blades getting farmed down here in the bottom lane by Dank Cheddar and Agassi. They're able to capitalize on the delayed backs of their lane opponents due to that dragon take. So nicely done by them to quickly get back down here to the bottom lane and get some gold back for themselves. Gold lead overall, still pretty much dead even between these two squads. So despite those kills going over and the objective being taken by Team Exiles, we're still looking at a pretty close game here, Wookie Monster.
That is true. Looking at the CS and gold differentials right now, it's pretty even still across the board. But I do think that Ocean is going to help out Team Exiles a lot because they need as much sustain throughout these laning phases as they can get. Now being a little bit confident, I guess, in their abilities because now they have 3 kills. Mercurial does have both buffs. That's going to pretty much get him a lot of damage. Sivir did get a shoot, what's it called? The Serrated Dirk, yes. I blanked on the name right there, but that's going to give her a little bit more poking damage. But Mercurial is very, very aggressive now, knowing that he does have the damage amplification of that pickaxe and longsword. That's going to give him the edge there. Aero taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, some good poke coming down there from Decomposition's Nico. Not quite able to get the Electrocute proc, but still decent damage coming out. Already has the sorcery boots completed, so some nice magic pen there. Looks like it will actually be the AP builds for the Kale. If you take a look at Arrow's inventory, there's on a blasting wand already. So isn't actually going for that scaling option. Press the attack or no press the attack. That will be the choice.
Yep, and as you can see, as a response already from Fridge and Javi, they are already working on Mercurial treads. They know that the largest threats are the AP as of right now, and they're working on it.
Getting a lot of value out of that tenacity that you get from the Mercury treads as well.
Yeah, a little bit of a scuffle.
Black Shield coming down onto the cannon. Should be able to keep them safe there. Nice boomerang from Cheddar, able to trade back onto the Jinx there. Lethality, of course, very, very common build for Sivir these days.
Yep.
That Dark Harvest. What's the mythic that Sivir usually builds? Is it the Duskblade?
It could be Duskblade. It's mainly Duskblade. There's no point in building Prowler's Claw. Oh, okay.
Hey, Dredgeline in. Are you sure about this one, Agassi? It didn't work out so well for you last time. Oh, he is the ultimate now. He casts the ultimate onto the Jinx. We got a teleport coming down now. Here's the counter engage. Zenith Blade Solar Eclipse straight onto dang Cheddar. And indeed, it will be 2 kills going over to Team Exiles here as we have another teleport. Bridge has also joined the play, and now Mercurial Mars will be traded back. Leona now in a whole lot of trouble, but Nighthawk has also arrived. We got a big old brawl down here in the bottom lane as the Soul Shackles are coming out. Will get that stun onto the Sejuani. They just need a little bit more damage. Can't quite find it. Flashing in as the Kennen. Young Shax picks up a second kill for himself. Now Bridge trying to trade back, but he's in a 1v2 now. Don't think the Trundle will be able to do much more here. That was a bit of a bloodbath. I think it was 3 for 2 at the end of that fight in favor of Exiles.
Yes, it was definitely a bloodbath. Both teleports were used on either side, and a Rift Herald now is going to be popped. They just got that a little while ago, and it was kind of off-screen, but they did manage to pick it up, and they will get nice gold in their pockets. Extra. Now they are a little bit ahead in the gold department for themselves, so... Good play by them. Good teleport usage, actually.
Yeah. Fridge was a little bit slow on the matched teleport there.
Yeah, a little slow, but still managed to get himself a kill there.
Yeah, he was down there. He joined the play and was able to turn it around a little bit, get a kill back for the squad there. And, nicely dropped on that Rift Herald. Turret plates were going down in less than a minute there, so always good to see teams effectively utilizing Shelly. Always hurts me a little bit when she doesn't get those turret plates. Okay, yeah, Arrow in a little bit of trouble here. He's getting collapsed on. Oh, completely whiffs the dredge line, does Agassi. Broke his ankles there. Arrow with the flash was able to dodge out on the hook coming through.
And Mountain Dragon is the next target here. Oh, Fridge.
Yeah, Fridge, he's a little bit caught out. We got some stuns coming down here. We got the Solar Flare locking him up. The Flame Chompers as well. Just way too much crowd control. Fridge was not able to move, and he does go down. Another kill going over to this Jinx. Mercurial Mars now 2, 1, and 5. Feeling pretty strong. She is going to have her Mythic on that next base for sure.
Yeah.
As this will be the second Dragon of the game going over to Team Exiles.
Yeah, the Jinx will definitely have the Mythic. I assume it's go... Might be a dive here. Oh
Maybe
my.
Kennen ultimate.
Oh my.
Ooh, the glacial prison from downtown. And then Nico for the follow-up. 2 kills, 3 kills. Going back now over to Team Yellow.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a beautiful from Decomposition.
It's still going.
Right as the hook dredge line in. Kale underneath the tower gets popped by the Sivir damage. Javi now locked up. It didn't have the turret aggro, so the Sejuani will be able to make her way out to safety there. Nighthawk, the only survivor on Team Exiles after that brawl in the mid lane. That was explosive. Definitely.
Yeah.
Really nice route from the Nico there.
Yeah, Decomposition, that was a beautiful route on 4 members of their team to stop Kennen's ultimate right in its tracks. And that is the fight that they needed to get back above themselves for the Gold League.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They were starting to look a little bit hairy there. The scaling team had just stacked their second dragon, and they had a slight gold advantage, but that has now been turned on its head. We got 2,000 in favor of team sitting on wards now on the red side. So we're going to be looking now for them to try and push this advantage. They need to continue to pressure their opponents, try and find more on the map.
Yeah, they only have 1 tower down so far. They're looking maybe top lane for Young Shax. It's
Young Shax's playing very respectfully though. He's playing very far back. He doesn't have vision in the river bush here, so he does not want to overextend.
Ooh.
Oh, he gets tagged by the roots. Oh no, Young Shax! Right as I cursed him. I cursed him. That's my bad, Shax.
It's okay.
Does get hit by the Nico root through the minions there. Sets up the Nautilus hook.
Yeah, great patience on Agassi right there. Just to wait that out and let Young Shax meet his demise. Fridge getting poked out under turret here.
That's Trundle, but he stayed around a little bit too long there, and does end up giving a kill over to the Kale, which is not really what you want to be doing if you're on team sitting on wards. So a little bit unlucky there. He did get the tower for himself, but don't really think that's worth Wookie Monster.
Yeah, I don't think it was worth, but at least he got the turret for it. It's a kill for a turret, but yeah, definitely not, at least not on the Kale, but they will get another turret in the top side here. So this is pushing their lead a little bit more forward. So, hey, I guess at this point, it's anything to get them ahead of the scaling team at this point. They need as much leads as possible.
Kale was able to trade that second turret back, though, so...
That's true. That is true. And we do see the completed Nashor's Tooth working on the, what I assume is going to be the Riftmaker. Stack in this bush. Ooh.
Okay, a nice zap to spot him out there from Mercurial Mars. Second Rift Herald is alive on the map. Dragon number 3 spawning in about 2 minutes, a little under 2 minutes on that one. And it looks like Shelly number 2 is going to be the target here. Team sitting on wards have members in the area, and they will go ahead and claim this one uncontested.
Yep, Javi will pick it up. Probably they're going to pick a lane to use it in. I just would want to know which lane that would be, but... Oh, Fridge is in trouble.
Okay, they're going to find Fridge again here. 1v2 situation. Ooh. Fridge getting locked up. The Kale is already looking pretty strong here, man. Just sitting on one item. The Kale has already hit level 12 and just shredded Fridge's Trundle there.
Yeah, that is devastating. Oh my gosh.
Okay, flashing in. Junior Boys lands the stun onto the Sivir. Sivir getting extremely low. Now Flash ulting away to stay alive. Javi now, he has the engage to buy time for his AD carry. Will successfully do so. That cost them 2 flashes there in the mid lane for Team Yellow. And now the push from Team Exiles is coming through. Oh no, Javi stuck around a little bit too long. It's engaged on with the Zenith Blade. Is going to be the first point. Kennen on the flank. Flash it in there with the big Kennen ultimate. Now he's going golden. Young Shax is going to be dropping here. Agassi, re-engage. I don't know if that's really what you wanted to go for, Nautilus. Probably wanted to try and hook away there. Does end up falling as well. 3-1, Team Exiles. Full map control. Dragon 20 seconds. So they're going to be on Cloud Soul Point here.
Yes, they will. And that was... yeah, that was an interesting play from sitting on wards. They kind of weren't all together at that junction, so just kind of got picked off one after the other. Javi, unfortunately, got picked out the first in that fight, so the rest of the team kind of fell apart right after that. Good try from Decomposition to want to come in from the side, flanking, but it just wasn't enough.
Yep, yep, exactly right. Dragon has gone down now. Trundle, Fridge trying to do a little bit of cross map here, pushing in top lane. Unfortunately, that top lane tier 1 has already been claimed, so just getting a little bit of farm there.
Yeah, this is the gold is still close, I feel, and
Yeah.
Baron is coming up soon in about 1 second. We'll see which team wants to take it first. I feel like Arrow is sitting nicely at 2 items now, Riftmaker and Nash's Tooth.
Yeah.
He's going to want to try to... I mean, they could just play patient, but hey, getting a free Baron is pretty free. Just have to make sure they have all tools necessary to do it and make sure it's warded up. There is a lot of ward coverage on the map from sitting on wards being about cleared out by
I would hope
JR
so.
boys.
It's in their name.
Yeah, true. Very true.
I mean, if they don't have good vision scores, then what are they doing? Like,
Yeah,
should've
what
chosen a
are
different
they
name.
doing? And
But like you said, vision's been pretty good for him
Uh-oh.
so far. Okay, Bridge getting a little bit caught out here. Lightning Shuriken getting a little bit of damage down, but Trundle able to walk out of that one. No immediate crowd control to lock him up this time. He's okay for now.
yep.
Yeah, we're kind of just seeing these squads kind of like trade team fight wins back and forth. It's
Yeah.
like one squad will win a team fight, then the other team wins a team fight. I have to imagine that will favor the scaling team more so, as we do see a Rift Herald dropped here in the mid lane. They are going to claim mid lane tier 2 here. Still max HP on the Rift Herald. They're trying to get a charge here into the tier 3, but a Dark Binding lands. Nico forced into an early Zhonya's. The Solar Flare not quite timed perfectly, and Nico is able to flash away.
Ooh.
Mid lane tier 3 barely surviving. A strong gust of wind will knock that one over, but will stay standing for now.
Oh man, that's so unfortunate that they did not get that tower. That would have opened up the base for them, but
Yeah.
just a slight hairs off, like you said. That's yeah, you kind of hate to see it, but they are looking for the invading.
Yeah, trying to set up another Death Brush play here, perhaps. But Team Exiles, they brought numbers. They're here in force to defend the red buff. And Nautilus will be forced to dredge line himself away there.
Yep, this is Baron is still on the table, so I wonder, since not many tools were used from Exiles there to defend that base, they might actually want to go for this. They know that some of their team members might have to reset on the side of sitting on wards.
Yeah. So should be able to get vision control over here at the very least. I'm a little surprised that that pink ward in the pit has not been cleared out by Team Exiles. I feel like they had more than enough prio to go for that vision control in the Baron pit. But vision on Baron for both teams at the present time. We have Cloud Soul spawning less than 2 minutes on that objective for Team Exiles, if they are able to pick it up, of course.
Yeah, I feel like Exiles does have to respect the name of sitting on wards. Maybe that's why they did not pick up that ward in the pit. But either way, it looks like Nighthawk is up there, maybe to clear it.
He's thinking about it.
And
He's
directed
considering
camera
his
wants to look at
options.
decomposition. Just for a little bit there, just sitting there, waiting for the wave to come. No TP up from the side of sitting on wards. We do have almost TPs up on the side of Team Exile, so that's going to be a good split opportunity. And we've been seeing them use their TPs actually just in accordance with each other's, so very good coordination.
Absolutely. We have Trundle getting spotted out here by Morgana, but not in too much danger. Just playing for mid-prio at the moment, it looks like. Less than a minute on Dragon now. Team Exile still maintaining their control over the top side river.
Yeah.
And it looks like Team Sitting on Wards will happily move into the bottom side river to try and get some control of their own. That pink ward in the pit of red team will finally be cleared out. Just waiting for that one to come through.
Yep, and some more will be taken out as well. I think that Sitting on Wards has a choice to make. Do they want to give up Baron, or do they want to give up the soul point here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult decision. Not really a right answer there, to be totally honest. As Decomposition and Young Shax will now discover each other in the river here. Not looking for that 1v1.
I feel like the Baron and the soul point will propel Team Exiles to move forward with their plan of getting more towers. So, yeah, difficult choice to make indeed, but it looks like they are going to choose to actually take away this last dragon that Exiles needs.
Well, it looks like they're going to try.
Yeah, they're going to try.
But Team Exiles is here, and they're going to try and get it for themselves. Kennen, he's looking like he wants it, has the black shield on. Dodges back from the dreadline, dark finding, can't quite find it, but a nice flank from the rest of Team Exiles. Sivir gets shut down right at the start of this fight. A nice Nico ultimate to create some space, but you've already lost your AD carry. You just don't have the DPS. It's just not there. Jinx is still alive. Watch Mercurial Mars here on the back line. Kale doing a whole lot of damage as well. That's going to be a clean sweep for Team Exiles. 5 for nothing, and they don't have to choose Wookie Monster. They are going to get their cake. They're going to eat it too.
Yeah. Straight to Baron right after that dragon, and possibly a inhibitor coming out from the side of Exiles. Very good team play, very good coordination. They caught the Sivir blindsidedly, so that was definitely the best pick they could have gotten, and it transformed into objectives for them.
Yeah, it seemed like Dink Cheta just assumed that all of Team Exiles was coming up from the bot side of the river there, as they had vision on the Kennen and the Morgana coming up through there first, but just gets collapsed on from the top side by the rest of Team Exiles, and they made that team fight look very easy.
Yep, and with their Barons, they will probably do a 5-man, I would assume, maybe even 1-3-1, depending how good they're feeling about the split map approach, but they will have pressure on the towers now with the extraordinary wave clear coming from Jinx and Aero.
Yeah, on the other side, there is a Sivir, and there's a Nico who has also decent wave clear, but it's going to be a tall order. I have to imagine that the base will likely be broken by the end of this Baron buff. I could be wrong, but that's my suspicion.
Yeah, it looks like they are doing a 1-3-1 as the Young Shack's heading down to the bot lane, then sending Arrow mid or Arrow top, and then the rest mid. So we'll see how it goes. They have to keep even pressure across all 3 lanes. We'll see how the other team responds. Agassi.
Okay, they're trying to engage on the 3. They realize that the team is split. A nice Nico ultimate stashing right in there with the rocket belt. That's 2 kills. Going over, Young Shax is teleported in here, has the Kennen ultimate, but he's too late this time around as Jinx and Leona have already been defeated. And that was a nice counterpunch from teams sitting on wards. They saw an opportunity and they went for it.
Yeah, great coordination. Deciding to engage as I would assume as soon as they saw Young Shax hit bottom lane and they knew Arrow was top lane, they just went for it, and it actually broke out 2 of the Baron buffs. So very good for them.
And they got both TPs as well.
Yeah, that is true. And now, what is the question for Exiles? Because they only have 3 members with Baron. They can't really do that sort of thing again.
Yeah, what do you think the game plan is going to be here at this point for Exiles?
Well, looks like they have breathing room, so they don't really need to push out with the rest of the Baron, but they don't have much of an impact in this stage of the game as they once, with those 2 kills being picked up. But it looks like they are going to just 5-man mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to get caught out again. The team fighting power of this team sitting on wards composition was maybe not respected as much as it should have been in that last play, as they engaged very quickly. The Nautilus ultimate coming down once again onto the Morgana. Young Shax creating space on the front line here with the Kennen ult into Zhonya's, but it will cost him his life. Nico dies on the back end. Now Sejuani, Dark Binding, locks her up, can't go anywhere. The Kale damage is so insane at this point. Almost 3 hits meta there, and will flash in the last auto attack. Another ace going over to Team Exiles. Only cost them the life of their Kennen. Nicely done. Morgana almost dying there to the tower, but just barely able to survive.
Yeah. Arrow has 3 items, and this is a scary Kale. You have to respect it. Engaging with Agassi like that is going to cost them maybe the game here.
Yeah, it looks like the Nexus will fall here. Game number 1 going over to Team Exiles. They had a scaling composition. Kale hit level 16. That is going to be game 1, 22-12, the final kill count here. Good stuff from them. What are your final thoughts after game 1 here, Wookie Monster?
That was impressive scaling. I mean, it was kind of back and forth for the most part, but good responses from both teams to counteract each other, and I feel like they played well. Both teams definitely played well. We'll see what kind of draft they come up with to get themselves a game 2, maybe comeback series here for sitting on wards, but I'm going to go ahead and give out those points. And yeah, what are your thoughts about how the Kayle was just pretty much allowed to farm for most of the game, only had 1 death?
Yeah, 10, 1, and 8 on Arrow's Kayle. 282 CS, finished the game about 60 CS of his lane opponents. Honestly, Wookie Monster, my money's on Kayle ban. Game number 2.
Yeah, you have to respect the late game scaling of Kayle or find a way to deal with it, because Kayle is just a monster no matter what you do.
The scaling on this champion is just so powerful, especially at lower elos.
Yep.
Just, you know, one mistake from her opponents, and she can just be nigh unkillable, which is, I think, is pretty much what we saw there. And, you know, she had a great team around her as well. You know, the Kennen and the Leona, the Morgana, able to provide so much space, so much crowd control, the defensive capabilities of the Black Shield as well to keep those carries safe. You know, overall, I think, you know, we have to definitely compliment the composition that Team Exiles was able to draft for themselves there.
Yeah, I did like the look, and my points were well saved. And I feel like they had a really strong first game against sitting on wards, so we'll see. They are switching sides, so we will see Exiles on red side this time, and we will see sitting on wards on blue side. I wonder what kind of counterpick opportunity Exiles will have this time around, opposed from the last game, which the blue side, they played blue side very well, I feel. So let's see. And it looks like they will need a little bit of a break. Should be only a few minutes. But yeah, they have to. I think they have to ban out the Kayle. There's just Kayle is super good right now, as the reasons I've stated earlier, and it's just ridiculous how much damage. That was only 3 items, and Arrow is tearing it up, quadra kill, insane.
Yeah, really strong stuff. Mercurial Mars played the Jinx very well.
Yeah.
As well, for the most part. They were definitely getting the better of their opposing bot lane down there in the 2v2. Wasn't a lot of 2v2. There were a lot of other members from both teams joining the party down there.
Right.
But, you know, overall, I think Mercurial Mars and Junior Boys also played exceptionally well that game.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, the bot lane, really nice, slow-paced bot lane, except for the TPs, of course. But, you know, that's bound to happen some way or another. They did get pretty chunked down earlier in the game, but they brought it back. They JR Boys was the one now getting hooked and by the Nautilus, and it was just like, well, you have to punish that, right? And they did excellent in prepping for that. So looks like they are going to start the draft here in a second. So I'm going to bring that up for draft 2. Setting on wards, banning out Poppy once again.
What was that last pick in game number 1 for team sitting on wards? Was it the Nico last pick?
I believe it was. Yes, it was the Nico as the last pick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I mean, I think that was a good last pick. It was a decent last pick. I think Decomposition probably needed to bully the Kayle a little bit more there. I'm not sure if that was a champion issue or a gameplay issue or like a team composition issue. I really am not too sure, but yeah, as we already discussed, Kayle was just able to scale with a little bit too much freedom in that last one.
I mean, Arrow only died once, so there was definitely needing some more punishment for the Kayle early game. But, you know, that's what I said early on in the draft. I was like, well, you know, they picked Kayle. They're going to have to find some creative ways to gank the Kayle from the Sejuani angle. But it just never happened. They didn't get a chance to do that. There were some opportunities, but hey, they might learn from that and ban the Kayle out here. No Kayle ban yet. So they will actually just ban out the Morgana this time.
Yeah, we'll see what Team Exile decides to do with their own counterpick this game, as we are just about done here, folks, with the first phase of bans. It's looking like a Poppy, Ezreal, and Morgana banned away by Team Sitting on Wards, and it's going to be Viego, Mordekaiser, and once again the Nocturne banned away by Team Exile. Don't think Fridge is going to be allowed to play that one here.
Yep, and I do want to say, I do see your question, Opaque. He says, how many points for you to wear the Mega Man helmet? That's a good question. I'd say 50k is a pretty for me to wear the helmet the whole stream and sweat in that thing. Yeah, 50k should actually do it. So if you have 50k points, I think it should. I will wear the helmet for the whole rest of the stream, or even for the next stream too. So I hope you got that, Opaque. And
can we get a mod to add that channel reward, please? That's sounds like something that would be worthy of spending points on, in my opinion.
True,
sounds
very true.
But back to the champ select here, guys. We got Tristana first picked over here for team Sitting on Wards. Is a little bit of a flex, of course. Could go to Decomposition or Dink Cheddar down there in the bot lane. It's going to be the Kindred. Ooh, I'm excited, Wookie Monster. I love casting Kindred. That is going to be going to Nighthawk over here in the jungle. And if we take a look at actually Nighthawk's in-game icon for his profile, it's a Kindred icon. So that's a little bit exciting.
That is exciting. And we do have Echo. I assume that is going to go to Arrow there, because he is definitely proficient on Echo. So nice showing so far, I feel. They got some really nice picks. I wonder what kind of comp they're still going for, because we have no idea what their top and support could go. Young Shax did a pretty good job on the Kennen last game. Oh, they are going to pick up the Zillion this time, Sitting on Wards.
Okay.
I know I was talking about that earlier before the first draft, where their support does play a lot of Zillion, so this is going to be a comfort pick.
64 games played, 63% win rate, 3.75 KDA for Agassi on the Zillion.
Yeah.
So pretty good. Pretty good overall there. So definitely gonna be what they're going for, and it's pretty decent into Kindred as well.
Yeah, definitely so. But wow, that Fiddlesticks pick is actually really interesting. I feel like it has a lot of synergy with what they want to do so far. It looks like they want to really play the go in and possibly get out with the Zillion ults.
Go in,
maybe die, maybe get Zillion ulted.
Okay, well, we'll see if that one works out for him, as Leona will be the last pick of round one here. Junior Boys looked quite solid on that one in game number 1, so very happy to see him on this champion once again. It's probably going to be Echo mid lane, I have to imagine, since we do have a Kindred locked in here. And forgive me, but I would like to talk about the Kindred a little bit more.
Okay.
It does puzzle me a little bit that the Kindred was picked into the Tristana, because, of course, Tristana has an extremely favorable interaction with Kindred Ultimate, where if Tristana saves her R until Kindred uses their R, then Tristana can just kind of stack the bombs on Kindred's head and then just yeet them out of their own ultimate, and they're going to blow up. So we'll see if Dink Cheddar can pull that one off, or Decomposition. I guess we still don't know for sure where this Tristana is going to be ending up for Team Sitting on Wards, but definitely something that Nighthawk is going to have to be looking out for here, as we are looking at some more bans coming through. Wukong and Yone banned out in the second round so far.
Yeah, I wonder if the Kindred was actually just, a composition that they had practiced with as being a first pick. And I guess we'll get to find out in this game, because Kindred is one of those, pretty much you want to put Kindred in a place where he can kite all day long against tanky people that can't really run at you. And that's where he shines, or they shine, rather. And yeah, they first picked it, so definitely the response was something like a Fiddlesticks, something ranged. Could even be, a Graves. Graves is really good into Kindred in the jungle area, but Fiddlesticks, it does pretty much the same thing, just an AP version. A lot of AP stacking so far. I wonder what the Tristana, like you said, will go. And maybe it might be mid, maybe it will be ADC. I'm not sure where they want to put Tristana, but Kled picked for Young Shax over on Team
Wow.
Exiles. I believe I have seen him on Kled before, so definitely know he could do it, and love to see it. Love to see Kled. He's one of those kind of underrated picks, I feel, but he provides so much utility to his team to engage with. I feel like with the movement nerfs all around the board, Kled is a really useful pick just to get that extra movement speed to your target, and Malphite being responded with.
Yeah,
That is a lot of
definitely.
wombo.
Yeah, the Kled does offer the early skirmishing power, has that nice team fighting ultimate, give everybody the movement speed buff to run forwards into the fight there. The Malphite, I think, is a great response to it. You know that Kled wants to play the early lane extremely aggressively, and Malphite can deny that pretty much by just not fighting him. Just you don't have to even go near the Kled. You can just wait for Kled to push the wave, and once Malphite hits level 6, then that's pretty much all you need. Malphite's job is done at that point. So do like that response coming out from Fridge. Looks like it's going to be the Silas here locked in as the last pick for team sitting on wards. It looks like the Tristana then is going into the bottom lane, which I think makes a whole lot of sense. Dankchetta has much more history with the champion than Decomposition does, so it's going to be Decomposition on the Silas, and what will the answer be? Kale was, of course, not banned, slipped all the way through this draft, and is the last pick on red side for Team Exiles. Aero getting his hands on this one again. Oh boy.
Whew. Just look at Exiles comp. Look how many survivability options they have. They have Echo Ultimate, Kindred Ultimate, Kale Ultimate. They are never going to die just like that. There has to be a lot of CC, which Sitting Awards does have, the Malphite, the Fiddlesticks, the Silas. And picking away, I feel like Malphite and Silas, you usually see Silas picked by the enemy team when there is a Malphite on your team. But instead, it was just pick Malphite, pick Silas. And I feel like Silas has so many options for the same thing. He has Kindred ult, he has Echo ult, and he has Kale ult, Leona ult, and Kled ult. Just, he has so many options available to keep his team alive and the Zillion. So these are kind of mirror matches, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely agree. The Silas does have a lot of very nice ultimates to steal, to choose from here on the opposing squad. The only cherry on top for Team Exiles, I think, would be if they had the Zillion. Then they would have all the revives.
Yeah.
But both compositions looking pretty scary here. But Wookie Monster, if we're talking scaling, I just don't think you can beat Kindred Kale.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They definitely have a really good scaling composition, just like the last game, and they have so much damage and tankiness on multiple members of their team.
I just realized something, actually, Wookie Monster.
Yes.
It's not Kindred Jungle.
Oh, yes.
It's Kindred Bot with Leona.
It is Kindred Bot. Wow. All right, so that threw me for a loop, but hey.
Yeah. That's a doozy.
That is a doozy.
I'm less excited for this as I would be for Kindred Jungle, but it still should be very interesting. This, of course, could potentially be a problem for Kindred, laning against that little bit of a counter matchup that I did mention earlier in the Tristana, so we'll have to see how Mercurial Mars plays that one out. Could be a bit risky, but does have Junior Boy's Leona there to back him up again this game, so that's some consolation for any Team Exile fans out there in the Twitch chat.
That's true, and thank you, Satan, for redeeming your drink water. I will drink my room temperature water here, as I am a little thirsty. But yeah, that is, that interaction now actually really does come into play, like you said earlier. And I feel like Tristana Zillion is such a good combination. I mean, you get the double bomb stun on Zillion on pretty much any one of those characters early on, and you decimate them with a level 2 Tristana as well. It's so potent and it's so deadly, but I do believe that Agassi, having as many games as he has on the champion, is pretty potent when it comes to double bombing. I am a double bomber myself. I love Zillion as a character. He is one of my one of my favorites in the mid lane. So excited to see him out of all of these champions here.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, the Zillion pick that we know Agassi has so much comfort on, I think it's going to lane extremely well with the Tristana for the reasons that you already mentioned there. And Kindred is not at all a strong early game champion, especially in a lane.
Yeah.
Really needs the marks and at least one item before Kindred can really come online and start doing a significant amount of damage. So despite having the Leona down there, I think they're going to have a real hard time in the 2v2. I don't expect much bot lane prio in the early game here for Team Exile.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think I'm actually going to have to give this one to Sitting on Wards. I think I like their comp a lot. It kind of counteracts a lot of what the other team wants to do, especially early on. If we see like these really, really good Fiddlesticks ults, they will be tremendously terrible for the enemy team to face because, as we know, the unsuspecting one will always win in these types of matchups. So Exiles have to really be on point in knowing where Fiddlesticks is, where he's going to ult from, those unique angles that he can ult from and to. Is going to be important to know for the early game for the side of Exiles. But I feel like the scaling is pretty potent on the other side as well, just not as much. Sitting on Wards does have a really nice comp just to, try to create chaos, I feel.
Yeah, you're making some great points there, Wookie Monster, for sure. The winning bot lane, the winning mid lane, at least early on, for teams sitting on wards, should provide the Fiddlesticks with a significant amount of safety to just go ahead and farm up those camps, get himself to that level 6 point where he can look for those creative ultimate angles like you were mentioning. And again, I really do like that Malphite pick into the Kled. I think that's a great response where you don't contest the Kled for lane priority in the first couple of levels because that's what Kled loves the most is fighting level 1, level 2 for lane priority. So you just give him the lane, you scale up to level 6 just like your jungler, and then your team fight is going to be looking really, really good. So sitting on wards, I do like their composition quite a bit here, but the Kayle Kindred, if they do end up getting to late game, you could have a little bit of deja vu here and see Team Exile end up running away if we get past that 25-30 minute mark.
Yeah, that's my only fear for sitting on awards, but hopefully they've learned their lesson. And I mean, they did let the kill go through, so they must, at least I hope, they have a plan for it because it was the last pick, once again, for Exiles to pick up the Kayle. So they let that through all the way to last pick, which is interesting. For me, because I would have banned it out. I don't know about you, but just knowing that Kayle hit a power spike, at a certain level, it just is scary to me. Like, I can't imagine going into this thinking, okay, we have to win early or we lose. That's something I never want to put myself into that situation. But hey, if they have a plan, Sitting on Wards has a plan for it, then hey, all the more reason.
Yeah. Exactly right, Wookie Monster. It must be the case that Team Sitting on Wards did not identify KO, the champion, as the problem in that previous game. They indeed must have some kind of plan to prevent Arrow from pulling off a repeat performance. Again, he absolutely took over in game number 1. 10, 1, and 8, I believe, was Arrow's final scoreline on the KO.
Yes.
Completely popped off. So Team Sitting on Wards going to be doing their best this time around, try and shut down that Kayle nice and early and keep her down. That's going to have to be the goal.
Yep, and this is going to go game 2 for Team Exiles versus Sitting on Wards. They did switch sides, and let's take a look at the Summoner's spells once they pop up on the screen. Looks like a double exhaust down the bot lane in terms of both teams having it. And a cleanse coming out for Dankchetta. This is
only for the Leona.
Yeah.
Just respecting Junior Boys there, which I think could be a smart decision. As we already mentioned, Junior Boys also looked extremely good on the Leona in game number 1. So do not blame Dankchetta for that summoner spell choice.
For sure. And there is an exhaust on Mercurial. I wonder if that is for maybe the Malphite, maybe the Silas. you don't really have a necessarily great target once you're CC'd. I feel like even Cleanse would have been good for Mercurial, but hey, Cleanse is not going to be used in the 2v2 lane as efficiently as Exhaust, so maybe it is actually possible for Dank Chetta to get exhausted in the lane.
The Predator on Fiddlesticks is a little bit interesting there. I think it's actually a relatively common rune for the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I haven't played a whole lot of Fiddlesticks recently myself, but I imagine the idea is you just kind of pop the Predator, you can run in there, get off a nice fear with your Q, assuming you don't get the fear from the passive, and should be able to go from there. So see what Javi can do on this pick. Haven't been seeing it too much. I don't know. Is the Fiddlesticks have a very high presence here in the Team Gap League? I haven't seen it a lot.
No, I don't have a real good estimate on how many times it has been played. Maybe once, maybe twice from the previous season, but thus far have not seen it. So this will be quite a first. Agassi knowing that there is a cheese going on. You like to see it.
Yeah, thank you, Twitch chat. Also, that's another thing that's worth pointing out. I think is Conqueror on the Kindred. That is definitely a little bit weird. Did you mention that already? Conqueror?
I did not, but yeah, now that you mention it, it is a little interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite right. Usually Kindreds go for the press the attack. Of course, with the Conqueror, you do get a little bit more scaling with that option, a little bit more team fighting power and those extended team fights perhaps, but it's gonna take the Kindred a while to stack that one up, so definitely not gonna be a strong early choice. They did get the level 2, they did go for the engage there. Junior Boy's flashing forward, but the flash response from Dank Chetta able to keep himself safe there.
Yeah, great timing. That was a near miss that could have ended disasterly for, is that a word? Disasterful. That is the word I was looking for Dank Chetta right there.
I think is.
Yeah.
You pretty much had it.
Yep, and now we see kind of a little standpoint here for Dank Chetta, because now he does not have flash to get out once he goes in. It's really up to Agassi to land those double bombs as much as possible, get as much poke out. Zillion is definitely capable of getting the nice two-man lockdown for Dank Chetta, but he has to land the double bombs.
Yeah, couldn't quite land it there. Bombs did find themselves on 2 different targets. We had clears towards the bottom side for both junglers. Once again this game, they are likely going to find themselves here in the bot side river. Mark for the Kindred is on the bottom side Crab. But unfortunately for Mercurial Mars, he is getting pushed in here by the Tristana Zillion, and he will lose that first mark.
Yep, and good insight on Javi for picking up that first mark there. That could have been easily taken from JR Boys and Mercurial, who have been kind of pushing the lane in for the most part.
Yeah, getting pushed in for now, but you know, they did have the level 2 first. But they did not, unfortunately for them, have the prio to walk into the river there. So Scuttle Crab claimed nice and easily by Javi. See what Nighthawk's Echo decides to go for here. If he wants to just try and go straight for that topside Scuttle Crab. He has not cleared the wolves yet, so still only level 3 on the Echo.
Yeah. He is kind of making sure Arrow stays alive in lane, and I feel like this is very unfortunate that Javi isn't on a early game champion, because yet again we can't punish the KO as much.
Good point. Yeah.
So it is very unfortunate, but I think that's where the bot lane comes in. Maybe if they get ahead, they are pushing in quite well. They might be able to roam and get a gank off on Arrow, but JR Boys, we saw him on the Nautilus. Almost had it. Saw him on a Nautilus. I feel like his hooks are very good on the Nautilus, but Leona is a little bit of a different story, I guess.
Well, it was Agassi on the Nautilus.
Oh,
right?
was it
I'm
Agassi?
sure Junior Boys was Leona last game as
Oh,
well.
was it? Okay, yeah.
Because they switched sides, right?
Yeah. So. And Infernal Dragon is the first up. That's going to be really nice to get from either of these teams. An early damage start for Exiles, or a very good early damage, kind of continuation for sitting on wards.
A couple interesting things to note here. Kindred slightly ahead of Tristana in CS, not something I would expect as we have a little bit of a fight there, but Rocket Jump is an ability. And Silas will go for the chains there, has the level 6 on Kale. Oh, there's a double bomb. Yep. That's what we're looking for, Agassi. He is running low on mana now, so probably can't get off 2 more of those in the immediate future. But, you know, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's a good poke. Just warming up. That's what we like to see.
Yep. We are seeing a little bit even CS, I guess, now in the top side. Kled, I guess, has a little bit more to farm, so he's doing okay up there for himself. Is Young Shax. No teleports have been used in the game. Dragon is alive. Still a couple minutes on Herald.
This might be the fight that both teams want to take now. We might see the double TPs if Nighthawk goes in here.
I think we might. Nighthawk is playing very patiently here, waiting to see if his opponents want to play aggressively at all.
He is spotted out, so Nighthawk is spotted out on that Poro ward.
Nice. Good call out there.
Yep. Oh.
Okay, fight here in the mid lane. Silas lands the chain. Kale has the ultimate, but so does Silas. Silas also has the Kale ultimate, but Arrow able to get himself out to safety there. Fortunately for the Kale.
Yeah.
Trade of ultimates.
Trade of ultimates. Good timing from Arrow to know to just, you know, time it a little bit off so you don't get the backlash from Decomposition's Kale ultimate. And this is kind of calmer top lane than I was expecting, honestly.
Oh,
but,
you were expecting...
I was expecting Young Shax to, you know, kind of want to be aggressive. But, hey, like you were saying, Malphite is a very good champion to negotiate with other champions like Kled, so...
Good sponge at that regen. Okay, we got the Zenith Blade in here. Shield Daybreak onto the Trunk. Ooh, has to flash away from the stun. Jank almost got locked up by the Echo W there. Now Agassi in some trouble. Flashing in. Kindred, first blood for Mercurial Mars on the Kindred. Needs a tower shot. Oh, no.
Oh!
No. Triple kill. But they Tristana because they went for the tower dive. Oh, man, it was almost good. But Tristana is going to have full control down there in that bottom lane upon respawning. Malphite. Fridge actually did end up teleporting down there as well, but he teleported in just to see a bunch of dead bodies lying around.
Yeah, that was unfortunate that every single member of Exiles there took turret aggro for at least 1 or 2 shots and ended up just giving Tristana the nice old juicy triple kill. Not what you want to see, not how you want it to play out, but now this is going to make Dank a little bit more confident in these engages here for the Tristana.
Absolutely. Sitting on Boots and Noon Quiver to Boots and Pickaxe. I'll take the Noon Quiver any day of the week on that one. No objectives have been claimed yet. It looks like Javi may have his eye on the Rift Herald, but Echo's in the area.
Yeah, this is quite the stalemate you were talking about in the top lane here. Now that we're looking about it.
Yeah, top lane we haven't seen a whole lot happen just yet. Fridge taking a little bit of damage there, but he is Malphite still. Okay, chain landing. Becomes Arrow, maybe a little bit on the wrong side of the lane there, but Decomposition not able to go for the extended fight. Nicely done by Fridge there to knock Kled off of the Scarl. Hey, do you know what Scarl is?
Scarl?
I keep meaning to look it up, but I don't actually.
It's like, it starts with an A. I think it's like a, I don't remember like the name of it, but it's like a bird species kind of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, he's back now.
Yeah.
But once again has been reunited with his trusty companion, of which we don't really know the species, but doesn't matter too much, as we have some vision control now for Team Exile over the Dragon Pit. The Rift Herald was claimed by Javi. He was able to pick that one up by himself there up on the topside river. Nighthawk didn't really have anything to say about it. I expect them to prioritize this dragon, but Fiddlesticks has the ultimate.
Has the ultimate. Both sides have their ultimates available, so this might be a more use of teleport from both Young Shax and Decomposition for this, but
once again, we're seeing some strong bot lane priority here for the team sitting on Ward's duo lane.
Yeah.
And we see Fridge here in the mid lane. That's a little bit interesting. Decomposition has roamed down into the river, which means Kled is free farming up there with Teleport. Echo getting engaged on, uses the Chrono Break, but it's not nearly enough. That's that Tristana damage. You give Tristana a triple kill, I don't know what else you expect to happen. As Nighthawk just gets blown up there. Crowstorm now. Javi trying to get in there. Gets a little bit of fear down, but Neona and Kindred pretty much under their tower, not in too much danger there.
Yeah, I couldn't get quite the right angle on that ultimate from Javi, but hey, it was worth a try. There was a double bomb that was hit, so no harm, no foul. They will get the dragon for this.
Okay, chain lands. Does he have the follow-up? Not quite. It looks like Kale's going to be okay there. Dragon was indeed claimed by a team sitting on wards. And Fridge is still just happily farming here in the top lane. It cost him a couple of turret plates to roam into mid there, but he's still pretty much even in CS, as we see Kled now, or I think it's Kale actually, yes, teleporting into the mid lane. They were able to get a couple of turret plates back for themselves there. We're team sitting on wards with the assistance of the Rift Herald. Nicely done by them.
Yep.
So looking at a pretty even gold state.
We'll take those trades, at least if you're sitting on wards, because, hey, Malphite helped out his team, and they did get the responsive plates for that. As Fridge is going to be a little bit behind, but has a Bramble Vest for the early aggression of young Shax. And that's where he wants to be, I think, for Fridge.
For sure. For sure. As Kale was pretty low there, already used the teleport. Arrow gonna have to be pretty careful there against the Silas.
Yep, and he does have some ward coverage on the bottom side of his map in the mid lane, but still vulnerable from the top. And it looks like Nighthawk is heading up to maybe contest Fridge here. Not sure. Maybe he's just clearing a ward, but yeah, I would like to see a little bit more aggression.
Ooh, almost had it there. Got one bomb on each.
Yeah, I was about to say, liking to see a little bit more aggression on this tower now that Dank Cheta is 4-1. Crazy start for him.
It is a little bit baffling to me that Tristana is somehow down in farm, as she has just been pushing these waves into Kindred all game, but somehow is still down CS. Not quite sure how that happens, but doing okay for herself, obviously, is the Tristana with those 4 kills. So not a whole lot to worry about, to be totally honest.
Yeah, from my experience playing Tristana, it's a little tiny bit hard to farm when all the minions are getting damaged at once from your auto attack kills, but hey. 4 kills does certainly make up for that lack of CS right there. And they know something's up.
Okay, Nighthawk is looking for it. Flash forward, Zenith Flare, or Solar Flare flashed away from by Agassi Zillion, keeping himself safe there. Nighthawk not able to find anything this time around.
Yep, they did not want any part of that. So good flash from Agassi. And Nighthawk is still around. Looks like he's at the mark here. Wonder if they'll send Kindred to pick that up or not.
A little bit, as a Kindred player, it definitely hurts me to see the team not really properly utilizing the pick. That does suck a little bit, but, you know, Mercurial Mars is doing okay. Okay, we got a little bit of a 1v1 in mid lane here. Decomposition is getting collapsed on now. 1v2. Oh, Fiddlesticks is here as well. Gets the fear onto the Echo. Chrono Break trying to stay safe, but Kale is already down. Echo will follow. Kled has teleported into the play, but he's in a 1v3. Barely hanging on to Skarl for now. We'll lose him, but he's under the tower. Should be able to bounce this wave back out.
Great play from setting on wards, and it looks like we do have confirmation from Twitch chat that Skarl is a species called Dracolops. And
thank you, Twitch chat.
Dracolops. That's an interesting name, but nonetheless, he does not have that up, and he's going to have to give up this tower. Skarl is not with him today.
Dracolops. Interesting. Okay. Dracolops. That's an interesting one. Not really sure what I'll be able to do with that, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah.
That was the first tower. Well, I guess I'm not sure which tower fell first, actually, but 2 towers have just been claimed by a team sitting on wards. I was very distracted by the Skarl question there. I stopped paying attention for a second.
That's
but,
okay.
Team sitting on wards now finding themselves solidly in the lead, looking at about a 4K gold lead with the monster.
Yep. Meanwhile, like Like you said, 2 towers have fallen. The Lord of the Rings second movie is now underway. Dragon coming up for Cloud Drake. This might mean that it might be a Mountain or Ocean Soul will get this game.
Yes, indeed the case. Both souls that should be relatively highly prized by both squads here. First Dragon, of course, was claimed by team sitting on wards, the squad that currently has the gold advantage. So they are poised to potentially stack more of those objectives. As Javi, thanks to his buddy Zillion, does now have a level up on the Echo.
Oh, you mean the Fiddlesticks? Yes.
Yes, I said Javi instead of Fiddlesticks.
That's all right. Yeah, Echo, meanwhile, is looking at Rift Herald with Kled. Is going to get kind of pressured off, not knowing where members of the enemy team are. Actually, looks like it might be continued. Agassi? Oh, no.
Okay, gets engaged on here. Zenith Blade, Solar Flare, too much crowd control. Has the Zillion ultimate, but no flash. Can't really find a way out here. Will get cleaned up by Mercurial Mars. Let's take a quick look at the Kindred, see if the Kindred has been able to get any marks for themselves yet. Yeah, actually, it's 2 marks for the Kindred. So, better than I expected, honestly.
Okay, that is good to hear. We know that now that the map is open, he has a lot more pressure on these marks than before, but oh my gosh! Fridge.
Oh, I don't have the trick. Okay, we're looking in the top lane here. Herald has been dropped. Fridge is already down. Dark Cheddar now trying to run away here. Rocket jumping back behind the tower. Will be forced to give that one up. Yeah, strong collapse coming through there from Team Exile, overloading the top side of the map, able to get another kill for themselves and a tower.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a miscommunication from Fridge and Dank Cheddar, because they were aiming and they had their sights set on this engage, but unfortunately Fridge just kind of ulted in with no help and did not get out alive in that one.
Yeah, exactly right. So the gold lead has shrunk down to about 2,000 now, and Kale is level 12. So we're getting back to the danger zone here, Wookie Monster. Kale is scaling.
Kale is scaling.
Nashor's Tooth complete.
Nashor's Tooth complete. No kills or assists. So not as much of a strong mid-game spike as last time, but yeah, the Nashor's Tooth is definitely going to at least give her more damage, and scaling is still underway.
Oh, yes, it is. Fiddlesticks is significantly ahead of Echo in farm and has 2 kills, so Javi feeling pretty good this game. But I don't really know what Fiddlesticks is supposed to do against a Kale. That doesn't seem like a fun one.
Well, they do have a lot of CC stacked in opposition to their last draft comp. So I feel like if they get a nice Javi Fear onto the Kale, burst her down with the amount of burst from Tristana and Silas and even Malphite too, it should be an easy kill before any ultimates go off. But there are certain conditions that have to be met. I mean, Mercurial could be there to pop the ultimate and not get ulted by Malphite, or you know, Nighthawk and JR could, you know, be there just to stop them from even ulting on the Fiddlesticks. So, uh-oh.
Yeah, decomposition now going in for the 1v1. Kale has a decent amount of damage, but Silas has the Kale ultimate.
Ooh.
Both players using the Kale ultimate to buy some time there, and they trade flashes as well. Close fight there, nobody going down. I definitely agree with what you were saying earlier as well about the team composition. It's going to be very reliant for Team Sitting on Wards. It's all going to come down to their engage. They got to get a good Fiddlesticks ult and a good Malphite ult, or Kale should just be able to run over these team fights in any kind of extended play where the Kale is not CC'd. So that's what we're going to be looking for.
Yeah, and I do feel there's a bit of a caveat, because they really have to make sure they're engaging at the right people at the right time, and all the circumstances kind of lead down, because they cannot get out once they are in. It is an engage all comp, and there's only one Zillion ult to be used per maybe 30 seconds at you know, higher build counts. So it's going to be rough if they don't get the right things where they need.
Yes, they theoretically have stolen Kale or Kindred ultimate as well, but again, of course, that is conditional as Decomposition, once again, trying to push Arrow out of the jungle here, but will not be successful as Arrow does claim that blue buff for himself.
Yep, and I think that, you know, being down 3k is not a bad spot for Exiles this time around. They're sitting comfortably, I think, but they do need to stop the enemy team from stacking these dragons. Next one is in about a minute.
It is going to be the Ocean Soul this game.
Yes.
And yes, the first two dragons have gone over to team sitting on wards. So just like you say, Team Exile, they're going to need to find their way over here to the bottom side river. Vision control very much in favor of team sitting on wards at this point. And Team Exile does not have a whole lot of time to work with. Teleport coming down now from the Silas, making sure he's in time for this fight.
Looks like Javi's stacking in a bush, waiting for the right time.
Okay, he's going for the Crowstorm,
Oh!
I think. Crowstorm forward, gets a fear onto two. Silas dashing in there, lands the chain. Echo forced a chrono break early on to stay alive. Javi going gold and trying to buy some more space, but Silas the same. Malphite bridge in there, isn't quite able to land a good Malphite ult, but it doesn't really matter. He's still providing pressure, more damage. Kale on the back line in the Kindred ultimate. They're trying to get more damage out on the Exile. Never so many low health bars.
Oh
Team
my.
Exile just didn't have it in them there. They tried to buy as much time as they could, but the engage from team sitting on wards was just a little too good, I think.
Wow, that move from Javi was incredible because he got out of the Zillion ultimate, moved into the Kindred ultimate, stayed alive with his healing, and just absolutely sat in the middle and decimated everyone as Dank Cheta was there to back him up. Really well played from sitting on wards.
Yeah, absolutely. Javi starting it out and finishing it out well as well. Really popping off in that fight was the team sitting on wards jungler. And they opted to go for the Baron first, which I think is a little bit of an interesting decision, as that objective does take, of course, longer to kill. But they should be able to come down here and get that third dragon as well, maybe?
Well, they do have a little bit of ultimates coming up. I hope it's in time. Javi's going in.
Okay, yeah, he's going back in. He gets another double fear. Silas in there as well can follow up. Nighthawk, Chrono breaking back. Pled with the counter engage. Trying to get Fiddlesticks down. Kindred is in there. Dragon will go over to Team Exile, and they are going to get a couple of kills for themselves as well here. It does cost them the life of their Kled. It did remove a couple of Baron buffs there from team sitting on wards.
Not the play you kind of want to make when nobody, like your team is not there fully, and you don't have certain ultimates up. Like I said, it's really you have to be patient with these kinds of fights. You can't just take one fight right after the other. The engage is so strong in your team that you kind of have to wait for the ultimates. I would have been fine to just give that dragon up in order for my Baron empowered champions to stay alive.
Indeed, Wookie Monster. I think that would have been, at the very least, a safer decision.
Yeah.
And probably would have worked out a little bit better for him. But we'll see. They still do have those 3 buffs active on 3 of their members. So we will see if they're able to get anything done with that, as they're a little bit split up at the moment. What do you think should be the play with those remaining buffs?
You might have to 5-stack a certain lane. Looking at top lane here, the tier 1 is still up. So that is the prime target, I feel, for a 5-man. Maybe even sending Silas, who is about to have TP up, could be the play here. Maybe the 4-1.
Yeah, absolutely. Kled up here all by his lonesome right now. Does get knocked off of his Dracolops there. A nice explosive charge from Dinkchetta, getting a whole lot of damage out on the Tristana. That's 3-item Tristana at this point in the game. 7, 1, and 3. Dinkchetta popping off once again here in game number 2. And they are going to just stack up here in the top lane. A 1v1 between the mid laners once again in the bottom lane. Stolen Kale ultimate for Decomposition once again. But he's getting really low here. Does cast the Kale ultimate first, flashing away now to try and get away from Arrow. But the Kale has scaled and Decomposition is down. He will not be able to teleport to join his team. And they're going to have to head bot lane now to contend with their opposing mid laner.
Yeah, dangerous now. Arrow popping the B emote. He knows he can actually 1v1 Silas now, and it's all good.
His turret has been destroyed.
So I do want to point out, as our nicely chat is saying, that these shoutcasters are performing well, as do the players in this game. And I appreciate this, and I feel like Newman does as well. So thank you, Frenzy, for the shout-outs.
Absolutely. The real thanks goes out to you guys, Twitch chat. There's no reason for us to be here if nobody wanted to watch, so thank you to you guys for watching.
Yep. And Zane did redeem another drink of water, so I am going to do that. A little parched before this next upcoming fight coming up.
We got a couple minutes on the dragon still. You have some time.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. We do have 2 minutes till the next drag. I feel like, yeah, Sitting on Words had it, and now I don't know where they're trying to produce more leads from. It looks like the bot lane here, but I don't know if this is the right call, sending Silas topside. Can he deal with Young Shax?
Well, we know he can't deal with Kale,
Yeah.
so I think this is a better plan than the previous one at the very least.
Maybe.
As, you know, they're able to push Kale off the turret here. They're able to claim another tier 2 for themselves in the bottom lane. 5-2 is the current turret count in favor of Team Sitting on Wards. So, able to get some more gold. The last remaining tier 2 for them to claim is the one in mid lane here. So that will likely be the next target.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's beneficial just to have Decomposition with them at these 5-man stacks. Javi is already like looking for positions to ult from, and Decomposition just isn't there right now, so they can't do this without him. He has such
Absolutely.
a crucial team fight ability with his ultimate. They will get a little nice surprise on Nighthawk there, but nothing to worry about. As
So we got
Aegis is
Dragon
contending it.
spawning 45 seconds. Team Sitting on Wards just trying to do exactly as their name implies and control that vision. Javi effectively utilizing the Fiddlesticks passive there. Clear out another ward.
Yep, I wonder if their team name implies that the enemy team is going to be sitting on wards here as well. They have to expect some sort of face check from JR or one of the tankier members on
Yeah.
Exiles' team. Javi's looking at Nighthawk, though, again.
The Echo is quite slippery, but able to get a little bit of damage down there. Okay, Decomposition's looking for him here. Can't quite land the chain. Echo slips over the wall. KO, level 16, split pushing with teleport. So, that will likely have to be answered here. Looks like Malphite is going over there. Dragon has been shredded, so
Yeah.
Team Exile was not able to push their way into the jungle there. The vision control is too strong from Team Sitting on Wards, and it will afford them that third dragon. But this Gale
Ooh.
is continuing to get a whole lot of work done in the side lane, canceling out the TP there from Decomposition.
Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay. Now they won't have that TP for this Baron fight here. But that's okay. They're all 5 stacking. And they are spotted out on a ward, so they know exactly where everybody's going.
That's the wrong... You don't want to sit on those wards, guys.
Yeah.
Sit on your own ward. What are you doing?
So on your own. And Scuttle is to the side of Exiles, so they know where they are still. Maybe just clearing out the vision as the rest of Exiles does head back. Get some resets on the wards. Reset on vision. This is another Baron fight.
Yeah, just fighting over vision control for now. Team Sitting on Wards, of course, was not sure about the location of their opponents. Didn't realize they were all back in base, so could not afford to just start up the Baron there.
Yeah.
As Team Exile has now returned to the top side river.
And this is what I was talking about, being patient with both teams now. This is kind of, you know, you kind of have to really be on point with the vision. You cannot face check being anybody but the tankier or Nighthawk relevant characters, but the same applies to their side. Javi cannot just walk up. Dank Cheddar cannot just walk up, so it's a vision battle for the most part.
Kale is split pushing again, just
Yep.
Arrow playing on the opposite side of the map, still holding on to the teleport, demanding a response from his opponents. They're continuing to just stack around the Baron here, just trying to keep vision control. They will now be forced to start up this objective. They know that Kale is just getting so much for free in the bottom lane right now, but Echo is around. Echo could easily go for the steal. Are they just going to burger flip this Baron Wookie monster? Nighthawk, he's about ready to go in here.
Whoa!
He's going for the steal. He's stolen the Baron Nasher. Kale is teleporting into the play now. Fled, flashing out of the pit, barely staying alive. The explosive charge actually does end up going down there to the Silas, and Leona will fall as well. So that's a couple of kills, but Nighthawk was able to successfully steal away the Baron, and Kale was able to claim that bot lane tier 2 as well.
That was so unfortunate for Sitting on Wards. They had it in the box. Arrow was there for the TP, but they were all in the pit, and they all got stunned by Echo's nice AoE stun, and that secured him the Baron for himself with the smite.
Absolutely, nicely played by Nighthawk, but now it has not deterred Sitting on Wards. They're pushing in here. Silas will resurrect with the Zillion ultimate. Kale now casting the ultimate on herself, goes golden, buying a little bit more time, but this push forward from Team Sitting on Wards looking really strong. The Tristana ultimate. Ooh, Mercurial able to get back in, but Kale is down. They've shut down Arrow's Kale. Now decomposition, maybe in a little bit of trouble here. He's got ignited. He does not have a way out of this one. He will be going down.
Ooh.
That was a team fight win for Team Exile.
Yeah.
They lost the Kale, but it cost Team Sitting on Wards way too much.
Yeah, that was definitely not opportunistic for Sitting on Wards to take that fight. I didn't see a good angle for the Fiddlesticks ult to come in, and, you know, what happens is you get punished for those misplaced ultimates and mistimed ultimates, more so.
Yeah, and they just lost a team fight to a team that had Baron buff. So that's like a double whammy right there. They're about to lose a lot more off the back end of that, as the mid lane tier 2 is now going down. Do they want to push for tier 3? No, they don't. They will be content with doing some counter jungling here. And they will back away for now. Dragon, number 5 of the game, spawning less than 1 minute.
Yeah, this is going more and more into the hands of Team Exile here as the more mistakes show up from Sitting on Wards. They really, like I've kept on saying, they really have to play this really well executed team fight the way they want it to, and they're going in really impatiently. I'd like to see Javi get a nice ultimate that is not under tower and has the nice setup from Fridge as well. And it looks like they're going to set up.
Kindred is currently at 5 marks.
5 marks. That is not bad for a lane Kindred, but
does have the first range upgrade at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could be worse for sure. Mercurial Mars is able to, you know, do a little bit of you know, ADC things in these team fights. He does have a little bit of range there. But they do not have river control. That is something that Team Exile is currently lacking, as Nighthawk just gets blown up by Jenna's Tristana. No dragon for you. Ocean Soul is going to go over to Team Sitting on Wards now.
That was
so
much damage.
That was a level 16 Tristana experience right there. Trademark it.
That was kind of like Arrow on the other side, but looks like...
Fled forced to ult out here just to stay safe. That always feels bad when Fled is forced to use that ultimate defensively. As they are a man down here. Team Sitting on Wards once again finding themselves in the driver's seat. They are going to be go ahead and taking that first inhibitor of the game. Mid lane inhibitor for Team Exile has been destroyed.
Wow, this is a very back and forth game now, and it's getting super late game. I feel like Dank is actually Sitting on Wards' version of Arrow at this point. Being able to chunk out Nighthawk as fast as he did. Couldn't even pop stopwatch. I'm not even sure if he had that available, but that was so much damage. That is a Kale of their own, per se.
Yeah, I mean, 2 levels on the Echo as well.
Yeah.
Two items and 2 levels. Like, that's not a fair fight.
Yeah, I guess Nighthawk will have to respect that next time and not just face check the dragon pit like that, as long as there's a visible Tristana, who is now 9-2-5, has 300 gold bounty on her head.
Stopwatch on top, too. Beautiful. Think Cheddar absolutely in a position to carry this one.
Yep. And yeah, this is a little bit slower pace now, but we're looking. I guess they're looking for picks here.
Okay, Kled ultimate. He's charging forward. He's gonna find a Gessie here. He's in a little bit of trouble. Javi with the Fiddlesticks ultimate to try and buy a little bit of time, but he's in some trouble now. Forced to flash over the wall. Zillion ultimate committed there as well. And I guess Decomposition actually wasn't around for that fight. Team sitting on wards was not at full power there. So, forced to expend some cooldowns defensively there.
Yeah, and the Baron's about up in about a minute. It's really like these ultimate cooldowns are so fast now, and Kled just had his spent and just had it up and used it once again, and look how fast Zillion's ultimate is almost up right after that fight. So we are going to see constant fighting from now on.
I love it, Wookie Monster. Give me more.
Yes.
As Baron is soon to be joining us on the Rift.
You do have Kale splitting once again.
Oh yes, and has teleport once again. Javi's looking for it. He's over the wall in the Raptor Pit. That is a primo Fiddlesticks ult angle, but he can't quite find it. Solar Flare creating some space. Decomposition is in there, but he's not able to provide that much lockdown. Flashing forward now. More chains onto Leona. Decomposition very far forward. Flash!
Oh!
Onto 3. They're getting the first kill onto Leona. Kindred ultimate forced out, but this is going to be some more deaths. Kindred is down. Kled is soon to follow. Young Shax trying to do what he can, flashing out, barely staying alive. A double bomb! Oh, he can't make it back to the fountain. Explodes. Agassi Zillion was too masterful there as Arrow. He's back. He's on the Nexus turret. He's trying to defend. Javi going gold and find some time. Kled is in there, gets a nice gold ringer off. Kale ultimate onto the Kled. But what can he do? He's almost got Javi. He is able to claim the Fiddlesticks, but the Kale and the Kled are down. Team sitting on wards are bringing us to game number 3.
Wow. That was a heck of a fight. Oh my gosh. What a comeback for sitting on wards in that game. Let's look at the damage charts. I have to expect, yes, Dank is going to be top of the boards here. Wow. That was a game. That was a game and a half. So late in the game, but they found a way to take care of Kale. They really did.
Well, the way to take care of Kale was to fight when Kale wasn't there.
That's true.
That was the way to do it. And they executed beautifully. I didn't think Decomposition, it seemed like he was going really far forward there without his team, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He distracted his opponents, and Malphite set up for Malphite beautifully there. Fridge with the flash, Malphite ultimate onto 3. They were able to sweep up that last team fight in the enemy base and pick up game number 2 for themselves. Nicely done, sitting on wards.
Nicely done. And this is game 3. We love to see it. We'll see how changes might be made. I mean, now what is Kale gonna do against that kind of comp again? So I wonder if Arrow's gonna pick something differently, and they are gonna switch sides this time once again. So this is back to game 1 almost for at least the draft order. We'll see what kind of picks, and they do have the spectator link up. We'll get that running, but yeah, what an incredible game. I love to see, like you said, the Kindred, just all those survivability ultimates, and they just didn't survive. It was just incredible team fighting from the side of Sitting on Wards. Now, they did have, a few upsets where it was like, oh my gosh, we messed up. We got to back out. We got to, reset mentally and then just come back with the Javi ultimates. The incredible Malphite flash ultimate maneuver there at the end was devastating for the side of Exiles. So they definitely have a nice game 3 coming up.
Yeah, don't forget Cheddar on that Tristana either. He was getting he had to have most damage that game, I have to imagine. I forgot to check, but I have to believe it was Cheddar's Tristana. I wanna call everyone back, our minds back, to the very first fight in that last game, where Kindred flashed under that tier 1 tower in the bottom lane to get first blood, and then they all died to Tristana. Triple kill, like 5 minutes in, and Dink Cheddar did not look back. Definitely a strong performance from lots of different members on Team Sitting on Wards, but yeah, definitely, and good teamwork as well.
Yeah, that was great teamwork. I think I have to give my MVP to Dank Chetta for that game. That was incredible Tristana play. Now, he did get quite fortunate getting that early triple kill, but, you
Was
know,
it luck or was it skill?
well,
Who's to say?
hey, who's to say? And I mean, he went with it, right? Like, we saw him push out bot lane as much as he could. He helped out the rest of his team. He had great team fight spacing, and he utilized his resets on his rocket jump very properly. So,
Absolutely.
all right, looks like they are starting the second or third draft, excuse me, and it will start out with the Viego ban.
I'm very curious to see if Kale makes it through again, if we see Tristana again this game. Definitely some
Ooh.
picks to watch it. Or Zillion, if they want to let Agassi have that Zillion again. It definitely... it seems like he wasn't popping off too much in lane, but
Yeah.
definitely some clutch plays towards the end there on the Zillion. So very interested to see what everybody decides to go for. Just the Viego and the Poppy banned out for now.
Yep, the standard first bans of all three of these series, pretty much. And I don't know, they did ban out the Morgana in the first game from, I believe it was, or second game from sitting on wards, so maybe they will respect that once again and make sure that, oh, we don't know what ban that is. Let's go see what they said. That is a Nocturne ban.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Probably didn't even have to see it. Could have just assumed that they weren't going to let Fridge play that one.
Yeah.
Ezreal, likely going to be the ban here for sitting on wards. Hasn't made an appearance in this series just yet, but is, of course, a very potent marksman in the current meta.
Yep, for sure. Definitely one not to scoff at, as Mordekaiser comes out for the third ban again.
Yeah, well, Team Exile clearly doesn't think that the bans were the problem in the previous game, as they have consistently maintained the same bans, I believe, throughout the series tonight.
Yeah. And they will respect the Morgana once again. I like to see it. They recognize that that was an issue in the first game, so definitely good on them to ban that one out. They're sitting comfortably, knowing that they just won the last game. We'll see if they can pull it out, or if Team Exiles will come in and swoop it up once again. Maybe they won't pick Kale this time.
Maybe, but my gut feeling says that they will. But we'll see. Zillion has not been banned. Tristana has not been banned. Kale, obviously, not banned. Yeah, the Kled is still available as well if Shax wants to go back towards the little Yordle and his Dracolops.
Dracolops, yeah, that was an interesting fact to learn about Kled.
Yeah, great factoid. Thank you again, Twitch chat. Lovely.
Yeah, love to see
Zillion
it.
will indeed be locked in here for Agassi. Yeah, I don't mind first picking that one. Honestly, Zillion, not typically a champion that you would think of to be first picked, but in this case, I'll let it slide.
Yeah, that is fair, because Agassi does play it quite often,
Good
so like to see it. Let's see what they pair it with. It might be the ADC. Tristana is still on the table once again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to, right?
Yeah,
you have to. Yeah,
and they will.
Yeah, I think that makes a whole lot of sense, and we'll see. I'm expecting an AD carry response here from Team Exile in their remainder of their first round of picks.
Yep. Let's see what the changes are, because there is a lot of options here.
There are a lot of options, yeah. The Varus is something that we haven't seen, but is also a very strong choice.
Oh, yeah, you guessed it.
I guess they heard me. It's going to be Varus Nautilus this game for Mercurial Mars and Junior Boys. I'm a little bit surprised that Junior Boys didn't want to just go back to the Leona, but I guess he wasn't able to pull out the win with it last game, so just wanted to switch things up a little bit here for game number 3. And Nautilus Varus is a pretty strong lane, I think. That is pretty fearsome. Certainly stronger than Kindred Leona, I have to imagine. As Kiana looks like is going to be the champion of choice for Arrow this game. That is a spicy one, Wookie Monster.
It is always spicy to see Arrow's Kiana, so I'm excited to see that pulled out for the third game. Going to be pretty intense. He has very high KDA when on the champion, but this also gives counterpick time, and it will be Yone possibly mid lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is some spice. So no magic damage, unless you count the Zillion, has been locked in for either squad just yet. So
Just yet.
looking for that to maybe come from the jungle or top positions, as that is what both teams still need. So expecting that focus to be present in the bans as well. Sejuani going to be taken off the table, taken away from Nighthawk here.
Yep, proper ban, I'd say. And let's see what they respond with. We haven't seen Yone this series, so this will be a nice showing for sitting on wards on the champion, whoever decides to yield him.
I think it's pretty likely it'll go into the hands of Decomposition. I think he's the one with the games on Yone, and it seems like a reasonable matchup into Kiana as well. I don't know a whole lot about the matchup, but you know, they're both AD melee. It's probably skill based, right? So
Yeah, it is a bit skill based because Yone is doesn't actually act like an assassin. Kiana does, and she actually kind of abuses melee matchups quite well, even though they're both melee. But we'll see if Yone can scale, because that is what he wants to do. He wants to hit his 2-item power spike, heavily favored for him. And
all right.
Standard bans coming across. We see the Malphite ban this time around. They do not want that engage on the top laner. Fair enough. And they don't want to see Zac either.
Yeah. I mean, Malphite is the reason they lost that last game, right?
Yeah.
That Malphite ult at the very end. Yeah, get Fridge off of that one for sure. Zac and Wukong, as you said, also been banned away here. So the top jungle focus in the bans, as you know, we assumed to be the case, will be the Volibear here, still flex pick. So not really sure if that's going towards Fridge or Javi here for sitting on wards. And Team Exiles not really going to know either. Going to make their last couple of picks here a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's a nice counter pick for topside in this case if Yone does go mid. But Rammus actually coming out for Exile.
There's no magic damage yet for sitting on wards.
That's
I think
true.
the Rammus is a great pick here. He got reworked not too long ago. For anybody who doesn't know, he has a dash on his ultimate now. So Rammus been doing very well in solo queue. I'm excited to see what Nighthawk can do with the turtle.
Yeah, that hop is definitely something to be worried about. It can get over walls. It can, you know, kind of disrupt the enemy team a little bit. Camille coming out for their top laner. Definitely interesting. This will give top laner the counter pick here, so let's see what kind of pick they can come up with. Hopefully it's something AP, because we have a Rammus on the enemy team.
Need it.
Yeah, they need something to counteract that at all.
Could go for the Fiddlesticks, I guess. It's not the best. Rammus, Kiana, that's pretty scary for Fiddlesticks. The Cho'Gath, I like a bit more.
Yeah, I think that is an appropriate top lane pick, and that means that Volibear is going to go in their jungler slot, as well as Yone mid. So yeah, I don't... Yes. I mean, so now that we see these comps, I feel like I like the comfortability that Exile has, knowing that now they have a pretty much a counteractive approach to what sitting on wards wants to do. How do you feel?
I mean, I definitely think that the composition from Team Exile is looking pretty strong here. They have the Varus Nautilus bottom lane, which is very strong early presence. I don't expect Dankchetta to have as fun of a time this game as he did in the previous laning phase. I think the Rammus is a great pick. And Kiana, I guess, is something that Aero has quite a bit of experience on as well, so could be looking pretty good for them. But on the other side, on team sitting on wards, I really like the Cho'Gath last pick. I think it's a good counter to Camille. I believe you can silence or knock her up out of that hook shot and kind of prevent an escape from coming through if you have any kind of jungle pressure in the area.
Yeah.
So I mean, and they've got the Yone as well, and Yone can do all kinds of stupid things. So you know, sitting on wards, you know, maybe I'd give them a slight edge in this draft.
Okay.
I'm excited to see what Team Exile can do.
Yeah, I do think that sitting on wards has the late game scaling over Team Exile, but just that Rammus pick actually really does dictate where the power spikes lie, because you know, Rammus can efficiently gank. He's very good against Tristana and Yone, and I don't know how they're going to be able to function early on if there's a, you know, pretty much anti-AD threat running around all over the place at the speed of Sonic.
Well, Rammus isn't really an anti-AD threat until he builds armor.
Well, that's
so he's
true.
going to want to farm early on and get at least that first item completed before he's really feeling tanky.
That is true.
So, you know, could be if he goes for something too early. I've been there before on the Rammus.
Oh, okay.
If you fall behind early, it doesn't really matter how tanky you get. It's gonna be pretty hard to come back, especially against something like a Yone. So
okay, well, let me ask you this then: does sitting on wards have the ability to pressure Rammus early?
I mean, Volibear is a very strong early game duelist. He could go for an early invade, especially if his mid laner is able to get some priority off of the first few waves here. So I do think it could look a little bit dangerous if they go for some kind of two-man play from the mid jungle of sitting on wards, try and invade the Rammus. That may require some very early game vision to try and scout out his pathing early on, but I think the possibility is certainly there, Wookie Monster.
Okay, that is a fair assumption here. I'm excited to see Camille played in this series too. We haven't really seen a very good like AP versus AD matchup besides the Kled versus Malphite here. So excited to see that Mordekaiser has a you know, another option besides him as an AP bruiser top lane that can actually scale well, do a lot of damage, and I mean, sitting on wards, top laner already has the Malphite under his belt with the dub. Let's see if Cho'Gath can scale well into the late game, be able to nom everybody in his path.
That's the dream.
That is the dream.
The Void Monster, for sure.
Yep, I am excited to see Yone too, because I am a partial fan of Yone. I've been playing him.
Dirty Yone player.
Hey, it's so fun to play Yone. He is such a interesting champion. On the contrary, I do not like his brother Yasuo. I absolutely despise that champion. So I feel where the hate comes from.
Okay, you know where I'm coming from.
Yes,
right.
yes, I do. But regardless, Yone really has to get, like I said, he has to get to his 2-item power spike or even 1-item power spike early on. That Immortal Shield Bow and IE is definitely really, really great on him, and will definitely decimate the squishier targets, naming Varus and Kiana out of the team fights. And yeah, we'll see if he can pull that off. I'm not sure if Decomposition has that you know, playability on Yone, is familiar with the champion, but Yone doesn't really take too much of a player to play, so it's pretty interesting, this matchup, because I actually have not seen Kiana versus Yone. I don't actually see Kiana very often, but I know Arrow is very, very comfortable on that champion, and he is going to have early prio if he knows the matchup. So this is I kind of want to look at mid lane mostly in this game for game 3.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Should definitely be interesting. I agree with your assessment of those mid laners. I'm not much of a mid lane expert myself, so I think it makes a lot of sense for me to defer to your analysis on this one. Yone maybe just needing the player just needing a face to smash, and Kiana maybe the player needing actually a hand with fingers on it. So
that's true.
You know, Arrow maybe at a little bit of a disadvantage there, just in terms of the base line level of what is required to play the champion, but of course there's a whole lot more to League of Legends than that.
Yes, indeed.
I do have a question for you here.
Sure.
Do you think Camille will take Flash?
Ooh, the teleport ignite does sound pretty spicy, but I feel like Young Shaxx is a pretty aggressive player when it comes to champions in the top lane, right? I mean, we saw him on Kled. I believe, what was the first game he was? Ooh, let me check.
That was the Kennen.
Kennen, right? So like
Kennen game.
These aggressive players tend to actually skip out on the flash, or actually take the flash maybe, and try to kill their lane opponent as early as possible. I don't know. It's either way. It could go either way. If he wants to help his team out, he could take teleport. I feel like that is a viable option. He doesn't really need the flash to get away from Cho'Gath or to get away from Volibear. He just has his hook shot. So
theoretically, but
yes,
the hook shot can be interrupted by
that is
something
true.
like a rupture or a silence.
That is true. That is where the hands come in. You have to have the
Absolutely.
hands. That is the defining factor. And I know that Young Shaxx loves Poppy, so he definitely has hands. I feel like, well, I mean, hands as in, angles, I think. Angles
I
of
believe.
hook shot, angles of his Poppy play. Hitting the walls with the E is definitely, it takes quite a bit of practice to get those down pat when you don't know exactly how it works. So definitely
I can
excited to
confirm
see
that.
it.
Played a couple games of Camille myself, and hook shot. Surprisingly difficult ability to use effectively.
Yeah, the
Didn't
first
go so well for me.
the first time I played Camille, it was a disaster. So yeah, I definitely feel that. JR Boys, I want to talk about him because now he is on a very, very comfort pick, the Nautilus. I feel like that is probably one of his best champs. He knows how to hit the hooks. It served him well throughout the previous season and this season as well. And I feel like their bot lane actually really has some good counterplay against Tristana and Zilean, Varus being the long-range poke that they need to make sure that Tristana is low enough so that she isn't just able to go in as much as she wants to.
Absolutely, man. And also, probably worth noting, the Nautilus was first picked this game by Team Exile, so clearly they have faith in their support here. We're absolutely going to be watching him, hoping for some big plays this game out of Junior Boys on the Naughty Boy.
Yep, and we are 2 seconds away from Game 3, Team Exiles on blue side, and sitting on wards on red side. Love to see the Game 3.
Oh, yeah. So it's not the same when your best of 3 doesn't have Game 3, yeah?
Exactly.
We need that.
Definitely, and let's take a look at the summoners once again. Pretty standard all around once it pops up on your screen there. Ignites. We do have a difference in the mid lane. 2 ignites this time instead of the teleports. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Both those lanes do want to kill each other, so makes sense.
And it is teleport flash for the Camille. No ignites for
Yep.
Young Shaxx this game. Probably a reasonable decision. I think going for 1v1s onto the Cho'Gath, not the easiest thing in the world. So definitely don't hate that choice.
And we see 2 5-man stacks. All the pings are going out, and they're just like, let's just 5-man here. Let's just 5-man here.
Doesn't seem likely that anybody from either squad will find each other before minions meet here, as they are on completely opposite sides of the map.
Yep. And it looks like even though Sitting on Wards is staying in their own jungle, Sitting on Wards does not know that Exiles is on their side of the jungle.
Indeed. Exile going for some deep vision here. Probably will drop a ward here on the red buff. Or not.
Minions have spawned.
As they just wanted to hang out for a little while.
Yeah. Wonder if it's dangerous for Fridge to come in and ward the red buff.
Yeah, probably looking for Fridge to walk back up through the topside jungle there, but he, fortunately for him, went for the recall option before walking to top lane, so it does take the safer route, and it pays off for him.
Yep.
The bot lane is going to be a bit late here. They were spotted walking through mid, so team Sitting on Wards must have some idea that some shenanigans were afoot at level 1, but obviously nothing has come of it. And we're going to have a nice calm start here to game number 3.
Yep. And this is interesting that Nighthawk did start blue buff with no leash. He is one of those jungles that just wants to clear, like you said, but a little help from the top laner might not have been too bad. However, he is capable of doing it on his own.
He is capable, but the clear on Rammus is quite slow, especially early on here. So I do expect a Volibear to be pulling ahead in camps. Flash
Ooh.
forward. The level 2 for Mercurial Mars and Junior Boys once again going for an early aggressive play here. But Agassi, quick with the flash response, keeps himself safe for now.
Yeah, that was the same exact play that happened in a previous game in this series.
Yes,
So
quite right there, Wookie Monster.
they both have the hands, I guess, for this series.
I suppose so. Looks like the push will be given over to the Varus Nautilus for now, as they did hit level 2 first, and they will maintain control of the minion wave for the present time. Volibear is only 1 camp up on the Rammus so far, but you know, should be in position to make a play before the turtle can really do anything. See if he can get anything done there. Javi on the Volibear. So mid lane does have some early prio, but nothing really has come of it yet. Look at this move from the bot lane. Varus and Nautilus are roaming once again. They pretty much got that wave shoved into the tower. They're joined up with the Rammus now to take that bot side Scuttle Crab.
This is very good macro play, knowing that Rammus was behind on the camps, clear speed. They're going to help him out, make sure that no shenanigans from Javi comes their way.
A trade of Scuttle Crabs. Rammus going to go over into the enemy jungle now. He's going to see that all these camps are gone. It's going to be a little bit sad, but ultimately it's going to be okay. And Kiana now is a little bit on the wrong side of the map. Does get ignited. Javi can't quite find it there. Nice double bomb. Follow up just yet.
Yeah, that's it's a little bit of an arrow misplay, I guess. He didn't expect that amount of damage coming out from Decomposition's Yone, and I do feel the later this goes, the better it gets for Yone in this matchup. A young Shax taking a lot of damage there.
Fridge, a little bit too slow. Okay, in the mid lane, Decomposition, a lot of trouble. Flash forward from Nighthawk's Rammus, able to pick up first blood on the turtle. He's going to be tanky a little bit sooner than we expected, Wookie Monster.
I would have liked that kill to go on over to Arrow, though, but Nighthawk was thirsty for blood. Fair enough that he did not want Arrow to die to a random W or Q that he might have had up.
Yeah, you always gotta respect the Yone nonsense. You know, you gotta kill him as quickly as possible before he does something silly and either gets out safely or kills your entire team.
That's true. That is very true.
You know, just kill him as quickly as possible and be done with it. So.
I can see the tears flowing from your eyes as you're saying that, but Agassi getting caught by a hook here.
Yeah, nice couple of roots from Junior Boys there. Has the explosive charge on his head, though, so he's going to eat a little bit of return damage there. And his AD carry is running very low on mana. That was his last arrow for Mercurial Mars, so he is not going to have a very fun time trying to pick up this CS. And he's going to have to go for a little bit of an uncomfortable reset as he has no mana and the wave is pushing away from him.
Yeah, comfortable start from the side of Dank and Agassi again. You know, they did not have the push on the first wave, but now we're sitting comfortably on this next wave, making sure that it gets shoved in and taken aback as well.
Absolutely. We do have the first dragon onto the map, but nobody wants to make a move towards this objective just yet.
Another infernal start.
Yeah.
That is the name of the day for dragons.
We have level 6 ticked over first for both of the Team Exile solo laners. So they've got plenty of priority right now across the map. Kiana roaming down into the bottom side river. See if she's able to find anything.
Yeah, a lot of pings going out, making sure that she is spotted out. They do not know where Arrow is, but they know he's in the vicinity. And this is actually going to give the Team Exiles a bit of a leg up on this dragon, as it is being taken rather slowly without their ADC, but...
Yeah, Rammus, Nautilus, not the highest DPS on the dragon there. But with the mid lane priority that they have been afforded by Arrow, they should eventually be able to pick that one up.
Yep. Mercurial will roam up there, take it for themselves. That is a Cloud Drake coming up next. As Decomposition taking a lot of trades, using an aggressive E.
Yone, Soul Unbound. He's going to get locked up here once again. Oh, you're trying to get away, but you're coming right back to your body, Yone, as a kill goes over to Arrow this time. Kiana drawing first blood in that mid lane 1v1. That wasn't really a 1v1, but you can.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that was not what he needed to do. He might as well just have done it. Oh my
there
gosh.
onto Dankchetta. Still has the rocket jump available, but ate a whole lot of damage there as Ignite was used. Volibear in the area, covering for his bottom lane.
I didn't even think that would hit.
Okay for now. It was max range dredge line. Very nice from Junior Boys. And they are in a little bit of trouble now. Varus once again out of mana. Bomb on the head of the Nautilus. Disabling the tower is the Volibear. Tristana committing the Buster shot. Kiana is in here now. Joining the play. The tower shot will finish off Dankchetta. That's a double kill over to Arrows. Kiana now. Cho'Gath, he's down here. He wants to try and get the play over. He gets the Rupture. Is able to chow down onto Varus. But this is just set up for the Kiana, man. She's likely going to be able to get another one here. But no! The Rupture into the bombs. Agassi picks up the enemy mid laner. Young Shax finally making his way into the play here. Cho'Gath getting resurrected by the Zillion ultimate. Can't quite land the Rupture there onto the Camille. Hextech ultimatum now going down, but Camille is slowed. Hard for her to get the damage out here in this 1v2. It looks like Fridge is going to be okay. That's a very greedy recall, Fridge. He must be trying to bait here. But I don't think... Okay, another nice double bomb. But Junior Boys... That fight went on for so long, the Nautilus respawned and walked all the way back down into the lane there, and was able to finally take down the Cho'Gath. Meanwhile, up here in the top side, River Hobby able to push and Nighthawk off the Herald at the very last second, picks up that objective for team sitting on wards. Nicely done by them. Who actually came out on top in that bot lane brawl?
It's still going. At least in the mid lane.
It's still going. The Rift Herald has been dropped here. Hobby is going to get this mid lane tier 1 down to 1 turret plate. I think Arrow may just have to give this one up here, but he doesn't want to do that. He's going in. Supreme display of talent onto the Volibear. That's a kill, and he will protect the mid lane tower. Nicely done by the Kiana.
Wow, this has been ongoing fights going on all at once, and Kiana ends up with the Duskblade.
Yeah, 4-1 now, Arrows Kiana. So he did end up going down there. That was his death. Was in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
During that big fight, but he is in a very good position here, coming up on the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, that was definitely in Exiles' favor. So even though the gold is swayed towards sitting on wards, they still don't have much prio. It was just those plates that were taken away from Arrow's mid lane that actually really put the gold lead ahead for their favor, but
very true.
It is looking pretty grim for Yone right now because Arrow having 4 kills means he has Mythic, means he has so much damage.
Yes, and Yone still quite far from that 2-item power spike that you were mentioning earlier. It's going to be a while till he has that online. Young Shax about to find himself in a bit of a 1v2. A nice Rupture. Young Shax forced to flash away here. Should have the hook shot soon. Is he going to be able to get away here? He will. Nighthawk in here for the counter engage. It's a nice taunt onto the Cho'Gath. Volibear is in there. Disable the tower. Needs a little bit more damage. Is able to finish off Young Shax, but he should be traded back by the Rammus. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Yone able to pick up a kill onto the Varus. Tristana will also fall. Trade of AD carries. And Volibear, yes, will finally be cleaned up by the Rammus. Kiana made her way into the top side, able to get the Cho'Gath as well.
Oh my
gosh. That's overall going to be 3 for 2 in favor of Team Exile across the map fighting there.
Yeah, this is simultaneous. Oh my god.
Hey, you can see that was warded.
Oh man, sitting on wards. He was sitting on a ward. Unfortunate.
True to their name.
You could see in the chat he was pinging his ultimate was 2 seconds away. You do hate to see it, that one. But yeah, fights happening all around. This is a crazy match. Already 15 kills before 15 minutes. This is incredible. This is a new side to Exiles as we've seen them play pretty scaling comps with the Kayle. In the mid lane, but now we have Arrow who's ahead, so far ahead, much more ahead than Dank was last game even.
True.
Let's see if he continues to escalate his lead as Cloud Drake coming up.
Yeah, Kiana, not a champion that we usually think of as something that scales particularly well, but when she has 5 kills at 12 minutes, I'd say that's pretty scaled.
Yeah, that is pretty scaled so far. This is still anyone's game, though, as this next drag might not be contested by Sitting on Wards, despite them having a couple of wards nearby. Oh, no!
You see, that was an unfortunate blast
Oh, my
You
God.
could, like, see him thinking about it for a second. Like, do I want to hit this? You did not want to hit it, man. As Javi now is going to get locked up by the chain of corruption from the Varus. A little bit of an unfortunate hook there, Junior Boys, and not able to get that further lockdown onto the Volibear, and he will escape under his bot lane tier 2 tower, but he has had to completely cede bot lane river control. This is going to be the second dragon of the game, going over to Team Exile, and they're looking pretty good here, Wookie Monster. Not much of a gold lead to speak of yet, but I'm feeling a lot of control.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, and Decomposition looking in trouble here.
Decomposition flashes over the wall, but cannot escape the Hextech ultimatum from Young Shax, and Kiana is here for the cleanup. Yone goes down for the 3rd time this game. He was able to get the first tower there, so that is something. That was before turret plates fell as well, so that was a significant amount of gold over to Yone. Has finished the shield bow now, but it cost him his life there.
It might have been, you know, more beneficial for him to just ult if he knows that the Hextech ultimatum is coming. He can actually just dodge it outright if he plays it correctly. And he'll get the same amount of effect with the flash if he did that first, and then is able to flash away maybe right after that Hextech ultimatum ends. But yeah, not knowing how that interaction works, it's hard to say what he was thinking in that moment. But yeah, unfortunate for the bot lane on the side of Sing on Wards. They're now just kind of stumbling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Agassi with just that unlucky blast cone there. Dank Cheta, I think his deaths have been pretty understandable. I think they were both in big bot lane fights. He had to go under the tower for a kill onto Mercurial Mars Varus at one point. I think that was one of his deaths.
Yeah.
But you know, they're definitely not having okay. Flash in, supreme display of talent. Ignite down, just completely one-shot decomposition there. Now Nautilus down here gets the ultimate down. Zilean forced to cast the ultimate on himself, but it's not going to save him. As Nautilus with another nice dredge line onto the Tristana, but his team was a little bit distracted at taking out the Zilean there. That's okay. Still a kill going over. 2 kills going over, if you count that outplay by Arrow.
Oh, no.
Oh, flash in, gets the taunt onto Cheddar. Doesn't have the rocket jump available yet, but did have the flash buster shot. So able to get away from the turtle there was the explosive Yordle. Shax getting pushed in, going for an aggressive hook shot here. He has Kiana on the way. They're about to have a 2v1 on the Cho'Gath, so despite being a level down, Young Shax knows what he's doing here. Tristana is dead in the bot lane. Meanwhile, in the top side, Cho'Gath can't find the silence. He goes for the feed. Kiana gets the kill for himself, able to trade 1-for-1. Nicely played, Fridge.
Wow. Yeah, that was nicely played. That was a trade, at least, for the top laner on Sitting on Wards. Yeah, that was unfortunate. We didn't get to see the death happen on Dank. I think it was just a random virus shot, was it?
I'm not sure. I didn't
yeah,
see what
it was a split second, but I think I saw an arrow just, you know, wildly hit Dank, and that was just all of his health bar remaining taken out. So,
I mean, we know he had no cooldowns, so
that's true.
It's not terribly surprising, I suppose. Probably should have just gone for a reset, maybe a bit greedy, try and stay and farm out that wave that was crashing.
But now we have multiple mythics available for Exiles, and in fact, all of the mythics are completed. This is so strong of a start for Team Exiles, and even though they're not too far ahead in gold, they are showing up at every objective. Getting all of these kills is leading them to at least first tower maybe soon here.
Well, first tower was already claimed in the mid lane, so Team Sitting on Wards does have that going for them.
Right. For them, though, it's still yet to be taken. So
that is true.
I didn't misspoke there, but yep, another taken turret for Sitting on Wards. So good for them to respond with these aggressive turret plays, I guess. But they're looking bot side here.
they are looking. The bottom lane of a team sitting on wards does have a ward in the river there to provide a little bit of safety for them. But Nautilus has found it now. We'll be clearing that one out. Arrow being very patient here, sitting in the tri-brush.
And decomposition.
Okay, Camille, Yone is going to be going back to his body here. Completely whiffs Yone ultimate, but he has Volibear here for backup. Hextech ultimatum going down onto the Yone. Volibear getting a lot of damage down with the E and the W. Camille ignited, just trying to get out of that. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Zilean forced to ult himself once again. Tristana, Buster shotting the engage away, flashing under the tower. Hobby with the last W there, able to pick up the kill for himself. Junior Boy's trying to get away, but he can't quite do it. He ends up blowing up Nighthawk here for the counter engage. It's a taunt onto Zilean. No ultimate on the Zilean. Does go down to Arrow. Arrow gets 2, but he takes a turret shot. Will go down for just Cho'Gath here. And Varus end up going down to a Zilean bomb on the back end of that as well.
Wow.
So that actually, that ended up being a positive trade for Team sitting on wards.
Yeah. That is what you want to see when you're behind. You try to pull the plays around on themselves, and that is exactly what they did. They got the kill top, they got the kills bottom, and now Dragon is going to be contested, actually, by Nighthawk, maybe. Javi is back.
Yeah, so. He's going to have a hard time with it. He doesn't have flash or ultimate, so getting into the pit is going to be pretty much impossible here for the Rammus. And Cho'Gath has the Feast as well, so they're going to have to win the fights before they get the objective, and it's not going to happen. Has been claimed. Nighthawk wanted to go for the drive-by there, but I think it was a bit ill-advised, as he is now stunned, he is now silenced, he is now knocked up. It's a bit of a knock-up of his own, but it's only a matter of time. He is now dead. And that's a shutdown, actually. That was the first death of the game for Nighthawk, giving over a shutdown for just Cho'Gath there, who's already pretty strong.
Yeah.
Getting maybe a bit scary here for Team Exile. What do you think?
Yeah, Exiles is down 3 towers now, and I know we were talking about towers earlier for Exile. They do still have the Rift Herald available on Rammus, but has yet to be placed. They're looking in a scary spot. They got no towers so far. They did pull out a very impressive play down bottom lane, but it just didn't work out the way they wanted to. And now Decomposition looking for more.
1v1 here. This time it was really a 1v1, as there are no junglers in the area, but Yone able to return to his body safely this time.
Yep. And he is getting towards that second item power spike. Halfway there.
Indeed. Yeah, he is getting pretty close to that. Definitely a good thing to track here. Chain of Corruption can't quite find a target there. Misses the piercing arrow as well. And oh my goodness, almost gets one shot by Cheddar. That was rough. That was a rough look for Mars there.
Yeah, if Mars was a little bit more patient with the VAR assault, he might have been able to hit it. Dang, Cheddar does have the movement speed. Young Shax, nope, not in trouble. He's gonna hook shot away. Yep. And they're just clearing wards here. Yeah, this is another back and forth game here, I think, but it's a little bit advantageous for the side of sitting on wards. They have 3 towers. Could do, could open up the map even more. Taking out their jungle camps maybe might be the play.
Absolutely.
But Arrow is a target.
Yeah, he is indeed the strongest member on Team Exile, in a lot of trouble here. Uses the supreme display of talent to try and build some space, trying to flash away, but it's not going to happen. Yone, from several screens away, able to get the last hit there. Arrow goes down. Chain of Corruption is off cooldown, so Mercurial able to utilize that Varus ultimate to get himself away from the Yone. But that was the strongest member of Team Exile. Like, it just gets shut down.
Yeah.
Is this a Baron angle, Wookie Monster?
I don't think this is a Baron angle, because even though Arrow's down, they still have, quite a few ultimates down on the side of sitting on wards, but it looks like they're going to go for it anyways.
You know which ultimate they have?
They do have the Zilean.
Does 1,000 damage to Baron. And now Zilean forced to cast the ultimate on himself. Like Hextech ultimatum committed onto the support. That's not really, I think, what Young Shax was looking for. Is he kind of went in all by himself on the top side of the fight there. Now a nice rupture onto the Rammus, interrupting the power ball. Rammus now in a whole lot of trouble. Tries to use the ultimate to get away, but Tristana, Cheddar flashing forward to detonate the explosive bomb. The turtle has now been defeated as well. Kiana's alive again.
I am completely wrong, I guess.
to not turn back to
Oh.
Baron as oh, the Varus ultimate able to pick up Zillion, double kill, quickly picked up by the bottom lane. Okay, now the supreme display of talent, trying to lock down Decomposition's Yone. Can't quite find him that time, but Wookie Monster Team Exile as the first turret of the game. How about that?
I like how I said, you know, Team Exiles was not gonna pick up anything there, but they just did, and that was the turn of that one. But it wasn't enough, I think. I mean, they did get a turret out of it, so and they did stop Baron altogether.
They
so
got Cheddar.
they did get Cheddar, and that is something to, you know, be grateful for, I think, as you're behind in everything else. So first tower is gonna do them nicely, but Dragon is coming up, another Ocean Dragon, and might be the second one if Sitting on Wards does decide to contest it. They do have several tools available. All of their ults except for Volibear is available, so might be advantageous, but it looks like their bot lane is heading up to the top side of the map.
You know, well, Tristan back to mid lane here. We'll see what these teams decide to go for. Zillion trying to keep up that vision on the Baron Nashor.
That is
There's
true.
a dragon. Yeah, 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Fourth dragon of the game. Cho'Gath still pretty far. Has the teleport.
Yep.
Looks like both top laners have teleports, so they're going to stay up in top side for now.
Yeah, big bounty on Cho'Gath currently. 2 items in. Very beefy boy. This will be very good for Javi to be in this fight.
Definitely. Given the fact that Cho'Gath is so good at taking objectives as well. We have current vision control for Team Sitting on Wards, but now we see Team Exile pushing now into the river, trying to reclaim the Pixel Brush. Junior Boy spots out this one. Double Bomb can't quite find the mark this time.
Oh.
Okay, teleport. Cho'Gath down into the bottom lane, but Cheddar getting very much caught out here. Has the Zillion ultimate. He's going to be okay for now. Volibear in there with the Stormbringer, trying to peel for his AD carry. He gets locked up by the Kiana ultimate. Bomb onto Camille, but should survive the explosion. Now Fridge in the back line, cutting off the entirety of Team Exile by himself right now. No follow-up just yet. Decomposition. Triple rupture onto 3. Nautilus going to be the first to drop bomb on Arrow's head. He's ignited. He's down. Varus down as well. That's going to be Dragon and probably Baron as well, going over to Sitting on Wards.
Yeah, they're playing this really laid-back scaling comp very well, as Fridge had the flank the whole time. He just had to wait for his team to just kind of survive a little bit longer, and he was able to tank so much damage just walking in. And now they will get Dragon, maybe. Nighthawk is there.
Yeah, so Rammus likely will go for steal here. Yone with the knockup. Oh, Yone's just going to kill him, isn't he? Oh, he doesn't have the ultimate, so he can't kill him.
Does
right
not.
Now. Can he kill Dragon before Rammus gets back over here? That looked kind of funny. I do hate Yone, but that was a pretty hilarious interaction. As, you know, I got to respect Nighthawk going for that one. You know, if only he could have survived for just another second.
Yeah.
He would have had the steal on that, would have put his team on Ocean Soul points, but it was not to be. Yone was too silly. And that is going to be it. Tied up Dragons 2-2. Baron going over to Team Sitting on Wards. Absolutely like that shout out that you gave just a second ago. Fridge with the absolutely monstrous flank in that last fight, just cutting off the entirety of the enemy team, preventing their escape. Very strong performance out of the top laner of Team Yellow here.
Yeah, they did lose a few members at the start, but it's okay. I mean, they had nothing left after Exiles was using everything in that initial fight. So Fridge was able to just come up and pretty much lock everyone out, and that triple knockup was really fantastic. Oh, Arrow!
Dude, Arrow, he was going for a flank, but he gets a little bit caught out here. Does have the supreme display of talent, but he can't quite find it. Now Decomposition, back to his body. His top laner is here to buy him space. Camille now in the middle of the entire enemy team. Hextech ultimatum onto the Tristana, but just buster shots the Camille away. Now Camille knocked up. The chase coming through. Yone just needed one more hit, but can't quite find it. Mercurial Mars in a whole lot of trouble. Volibear, Stormbringer over the wall, gets the kill onto the enemy marksman. Now Rammus about to fall. Nautilus will follow quickly as well. Only Camille remaining with a fraction of her health bar as Team Sitting on Words will be breaking into the enemy base.
Oh, they have Baron. This is looking like an end here. Young Shax is up. Arrows in 10 seconds. Can they both hold it?
Can Young Shax buy enough time? Zillion has the double bombs. He's locking up the Camille. The Camille can't get anything done. Last and final Nexus Tower under fire here will be destroyed. Arrow has disconnected from the game. He knows it's over as the Nexus falls. Sitting on Wards, 2-1. They win the best of 3 tonight, Wookie Monster.
Yeah, congratulations to Sitting on Wards, our winners of the day here. Let's look at the damage charts. Oh my gosh. Even though a lot of members kind of almost out-damaged everybody on Sitting on Wards, they had a tremendous team fight experience all around for them.
Completely agree, yeah, for sure. Especially Fridge. What a monster, man.
Yeah, what a monster. And MVP vote is going to go out in a second here, so you'll be able to vote for who your MVP was for the whole series. For that game, I think I have to give it to Fridge. He was an absolute beast on the Cho'Gath, but
yeah, good in team fights. He was popping off in top lane as well. Remember that 1v2 where he got the kill onto Kiana? Really strong Cho'Gath play.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about even when he was on the other champions, he had a strong showing. I believe was on the Malphite, right? I think it was the Malphite he was on.
Yeah, Fridge was on the Malphite game too. Yeah.
He held his own against Kled that game, so definitely.
Yeah, and then he had the game-winning ultimate. Fridge
was
popping off. He's probably player of the series. Honestly, he gets my vote for that.
That is true. About to put up this poll.
Cheta did go off really hard in the game.
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
So
he played a fantastic 2 games. Was it 2 games? Yeah, 2 games of Tristana. So
yeah, for sure.
And starting the poll now, you'll have about a few minutes. Go ahead and cast your votes, and we'll keep track of that as this is a hard one. I think everyone did exceptionally well. Even Agassi, I mean, on the Zillion, oh man, I love to see a good Zillion support player. But yeah,
Zillion play was clean.
He was clean, and he got several important double bombs, I'd say. So, very well done. 4 votes going over to Fridge already. I imagine that might be his actual teammates voting for him, but I could be wrong. Correct me, chat, if I am wrong, but...
Well, one of them was me, so...
Oh, one of them was
Pretty
you.
Sure I'm not
all
on
right.
the team.
5th vote going over to Fridge. You have about a 6th vote, and you have a few minutes to sway this around. It looks like 7th vote over to Fridge. This is just...
shoutcasting the poll now?
Yes, we are. Let's see how high we can get it.
Vote coming through here.
Let's see how high we can get it. Yeah.
One thing I do want to say about Agassi, he used the Zillion ultimate on himself a few more times than I maybe would have liked.
Okay.
Usually Zillion ult, I think, is best used on one of your carries, but he was getting caught out a bit. He wanted to keep himself alive to try to continue.
That's true.
To support the team. It's understandable. But maybe could have utilized the ultimate a bit better. But,
yeah, maybe a little bit.
Player. I don't know.
That's true. I mean, we did see him get caught out in the bot lane river that one time.
Was a little bit tragic.
Yeah, that was, and he failed the flash. It was just a mess. You can't blame him for it though. He tried. He tried to get out as much as he could. Even used the ultimate on himself, but it was not in the cards for him for that play. But
unfortunately, twisted fate on the team.
Yeah. And fortunately, his team was able to pull out the 2 wins that they needed. But yeah, that was an extremely good showing from the team all around. This might be probably this was a 1-2, in the game in the loss and win order. So they definitely pulled out the comeback, and they definitely really found ways to handle Arrow's KO from the first game. Right? They played against it the second. They let it go through the second game. They said, okay, we'll deal with it in our own way. And then they pulled out a kind of a scaling composition, unlike the previous ones that we saw coming out from the opposite team. So, and they played well. They played the early game. It was a little bit scuffed here and there, but all in all, the main important part was that Fridge got so far ahead on the Cho'Gath and was just able to out damage and out sustain everyone. And it looks like Fridge will be our MVP of the series. So give him a little bit of a heads up before I drag him in.
Cho'Gath was just too big, built different.
That's true. Let's see.
He was too beefy.
All right, let's see here.
He almost had the most damage on his team. Yone did 4 more damage than Cho'Gath. Exactly 4 more damage.
Exactly 4 more damage. Yes. Incredible. Let me just get there. All right. Okay. Drag. I'm gonna scroll all the way down these channels. There we go.
So many
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Great showing today. Congratulations on the MVP. How do you feel?
I mean, it wasn't our cleanest games ever, but it's good to get the win out of it. So, I mean, we kind of cleaned up a little bit, but there was still a lot of mistakes. But
yeah,
did all right overall.
That's fair. That is fair. How did you feel about playing the Malphite in the Kled matchup? We had some speculation that you were just planning on, trying to survive the Kled early on, and you did that fairly well, I'd say. And utilizing the TPs was definitely a necessary thing for you. But that game-ending play was definitely not. It was like the chef's kiss, I'd feel, for that last play that you made. How did that make you feel? Like you were the comms like excited about that play?
Well, so as far as the lane matchup goes, I feel like I can take just about any tank and survive just about any lane because I'm just really, really comfortable on tanks. So, in that case, we felt with them, we kind of thought they might pick the Kayle again, but we weren't 100% sure what the comp we were running. And we were like, well, just pick Malphite. If Kayle decides to be there, she dies. If she doesn't, well, we kill the rest of the team. So, we learned a lesson from the first game and kind of switched it up to a hard team fight comp as opposed to just trolling around with more comfort picks, I guess.
Okay.
As far as the last fight goes, I mean, it was kind of just, well, Kayle's going to split bot. And they're like, I'm going to disengage. And I was like, okay, I'll just flash ult. Since they clustered. So, like, literally before, like, we knew they played Kindred bot, and we predicted that they would all just cluster in the Kindred ult. So, I think that's kind of what they were looking for, and that's just when we kind of pulled the trigger.
Well, pull the trigger you did, man. And Fridge, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's my understanding that this was your first series in the Team Gap League as a squad, as 5. Is that correct?
We've played 2 other ones, or
okay.
3 other ones. We were 6-0. They were actually the first team to take a game off of us. So.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Well, I'm surprised those games weren't streamed, unless they were. I can't remember now.
No, that was our first stream series.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So 8-1 actually is your current game score. That's pretty impressive, man. So after the first loss in the series here, I mean, I guess you guys probably weren't too worried. You clearly had a plan going into game number 2. But for a team that doesn't sound like you're very used to losing, what was kind of the communication like, and how did you guys hype yourselves up for the rest of the series?
So I actually played against these these guys on my team in another league, and I actually just joined like the week that the season started. So I wasn't necessarily as, I guess, comfortable with them as much, but it was kind of like I just came in and it felt like a pretty natural fit. We all got along really well and communicated pretty well. So, I mean, it just worked out really well for us, I guess.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I mean, it's been pretty nice working with them. So they're kind of like running the show, and I'm just kind of like, I'll just play whatever you guys want me to. Like, just pick me whatever.
Okay.
For the most part.
That is fair. I do have a not league-related question. Where did you come up with your name, Fridge?
Well, I was a fat kid, and I had some neighbors just playing backyard sports, and one of them just started calling me Fridge one day, and I just kind of kept it.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right.
I owned
well,
it.
We like
There you
those
go.
stories. Yeah, if you own it, you own it. It's I mean, you showed a great performance owning it today over Team Exiles. Any closing remarks for any teams you're looking forward to? Please make them now.
Oh, I mean, I just I thank my team for trusting me with some of the random picks I throw out at them. Except don't trust me on Singed apparently, because that didn't go well in the show match last night.
Okay, fair enough. I wish I would have seen that, I guess, but
No
yeah.
one wishes they saw that.
Fair enough. All right. Any other questions you have, Newman, for our MVP of the day?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, enjoy your win, Fridge. That was well played. Well done. Look forward to streaming your series later on in the weeks to come. You guys are sitting comfortably, as Newman said, 8-1. But as for me, Wookie Monster, and my good pal Newman co-casting with me tonight, that will be it for this week. That is all the games for the week, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great night.